What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. Thanks for hanging out and making us a part of your starts. If you are up and at it, whether you are listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online at sportstalk1051.com. Got your Alexa devices, your Google devices, the app, download it, take it on the go. And, of course, the YouTube video stream up and rolling, Man Cave TV. But happy Tuesday, everybody. What do we have on our game plan for us this morning? We got lots to get to, lots to catch up on our game plan. We'll talk some baseball. We know the final matchup for the World Baseball Classic coming your way tonight. Venezuela taking down Team Italy last night, which sets up for Team USA versus Team Venezuela tonight for the World Baseball Classic final. Brewers well represented in there too. Contreras, Jackson Chirios, Zerpa for Venezuela, and then Bryce Terang for Team USA. So, speaking of Brewers, we'll continue kind of our countdown of the most. We kicked it off yesterday, but at least in my opinion, the top 10 most crucial, pivotal players for the Brewers, for the overall success for this season, for the Brew Crew to get back to the postseason, maybe even win their division, as we are just a week and a couple days away from opening day next Thursday. I know, depending on where you're at in this world of ours, if you're in the Eau Claire, Chippewa Valley area, you're probably looking outside and saying, baseball, are you kidding? But it'll get warmer later on this week and such, and then we'll really get into back to that baseball feeling and mood and such. But plenty of baseball chat coming your way, as the Brewers also yesterday, 24 runs in their spring training game against the Dodgers. That game went on for a little bit. But Brewers also making some moves as they shorten up their roster and such. Jet Williams going down to the minors and that. So, but no big probably surprise there. Yeah, Brock Wilken, Jet Williams reassigned to minor league camp. So, but yeah, yesterday's game nearly went 4 hours. 4 hours. Yeah, probably a good thing that some of those guys have the day off today. So. But, plenty of baseball talk here, including maybe Brandon Lockridge making a late push for the opening day roster, maybe kind of complicating some of the decisions here for Pat Murphy and Matt Arnold and this Milwaukee Brewers team. So what else do we have on the docket here this morning? We're going to chat a little football here, too. If you had to go bargain shopping for the green and gold, of those options that are maybe still available out there, we'll take a look at some of the free agents that are still available out there, and you can look it up yourselves as well. But of some of the options that are still out there, because now we're in that phase of maybe get some bargains, those one-year deal type of moves when it comes to veteran free agents and such. So we will we'll take a look at some guys that are still available that could be good fits for Green Bay. We'll hit that up. But one question I kind of want to throw to a lot of you, because I've seen, after the first week of free agency, you got blog posts, you've got articles, whatever you want to call them, that are out there that are ranking teams now based off their moves in free agency, whether they've gotten better, whether they've gotten worse, maybe staying the same. So, at least on paper, okay, because that's all that we can kind of do right now, but at least on paper, what do you think? How do you think? Do you think Green Bay's better? Let's just put it that way. Do you think Green Bay's better? Do you think they're worse? Kind of looking at their roster right now, looking at the players they've lost. We know they lost Romeo, they lost Quay, they lost Malik Willis, they lost Rasheed Walker, they've added Zaire Franklin, they've added Hargrave. When you look at those additions and subtractions, I guess, where are you at on this side? because looking at some of the national pieces out there, it doesn't seem like a lot of people like some of the moves from Green Bay. Although not everybody. I know Schefter, I think it was it last week, talked about some of Green Bay's moves, and he said he liked them. But I saw one piece on NFL.com that had Green Bay like ranked 15th and such, and talked about how they got older. And I'm like, but they were still the youngest team in the last couple of years. So I don't know, but curious to get your thoughts on that. You can hit us up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Or you can join in on the YouTube chat as well. So we'll talk some football and such. Also, hoops. Bucks back in action tonight, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll see how that one kind of plays out here. But also, you got the T-Wolves in action. The first couple games of the NCAA tournament. I still call them play-ins. I know the first round, whatever they call them these days here. But I got Texas taking on NC State. You got UMBC taking on who was it again? UMBC. Is that the same UMBC that upset? Yeah, it is. Howard University tonight here too. So, but don't forget, get those picks in for the bracket challenge. All right. Time's running out. SportsTalk1051.com. Click on that Fan Cave tab. Scroll all the way down to the bottom and get your bracket in. So it is also a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. What is grinding your gears? All right, get it off your chest. Let us know. Speaking of maybe feeling a little bit better about yourself, it's our confession day. Forgive me, sports gods. Give me a sports confession that you just got to get off your chest and such. Also, it is a I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blanks, best ones. I'll read up on the air. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. All right? Think about that for a little bit and send those on over as well. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal coming up in the 8 o'clock hour as we'll talk some Badgers with him. Kind of take a look at, obviously, the Badger basketball team, and then we'll chat a little hockey with him on the docket here too. So that's kind of your game plan. We got lots to get to here. So, and I want to hear from you. So start hitting me up with those messages, whether it's hanging out in the Section 105 chat room on the YouTube video stream or hitting us up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, whatever the case may be. I'd love for you to join in on the conversation. So let's pitter patter. Let's get at her, shall we? We'll take our first break and we'll jump right into it. We'll be right back after these quick words. Pain doesn't have to slow you down. At Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their experienced team is focused on getting you back to doing what you love, whether that's competing on the field, staying active, or simply moving without discomfort. From joint pain and sports injuries to advanced surgical and non-surgical treatments, they provide personalized care designed around you. Local experts, advanced techniques, and real results. If pain is holding you back, take the next step towards recovery. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better every single day. All right, let's open up things here this morning. Let's chat a little baseball, shall we? To open it up, World Baseball Classics going to be wrapping up tonight. Team USA taking on Team Venezuela. After Venezuela taking down a Team Italy in the semis last night, a 4-2 victory. Team Italy jumped out to an early lead, though, but Venezuela with that just loaded offensive lineup, able to hit their way back into it and clinch a spot into the World Baseball Classic final. Should be a really good matchup tonight with these two lineups. I'm excited to watch it in that. So, but yeah, after that, then we can kind of maybe focus a little bit more on opening day, because I think this has kind of just been a nice. First of all, like I've said numerous times out, I've really enjoyed the World Baseball Classic. I thought it's been absolutely fantastic. I think it's been great, and I think it's kind of helped fill that spring training. You know, we get excited when pitchers and catchers report and spring training games begin, but then it kind of is like, all right, can we get to the regular season? Can we get to some regular games here, games that matter, games that mean something? I think this has been kind of a nice side, segue sort of thing, like helping fill that void, because these games have been really entertaining. These games obviously matter to the players who are playing in it and such. So it's kind of been a nice little, I don't want to say refresher, but just kind of a nice other option for this baseball season until we get to opening day, which is next week. So it'll conclude tonight, and we'll have a new winner or a new defending champ, because, well, Team Japan won it last time. So we'll have a new champion for this year. Should be really good. I'm excited to watch it tonight, and kind of, it's a good prelude to hopefully a very successful, fun Milwaukee Brewers season. The Brewers are going to be well represented in tonight's game. We'll see if Contreras gets a start behind the dish. He did last night, but you had Jackson Chirio consistently getting a start in center field. And that, you got Zerpa, who pitched last night, and, of course, Bryce Terang playing second for Team USA. But with the Brewers yesterday, that was a game that went a while. For Major League Baseball that wants to have shorter games and quicker pace of play and such. The thing yesterday was a spring training game, nearly 4 hours, in the Brewers' 24-9 victory against the Dodgers. Officially went 3 hours and 54 minutes. Brewers collected 16 total hits, just a couple of home runs. And the thing is that the Dodgers, they were up 7-0 heading into the top of the fifth yesterday. And the Brewers go and put up a big old 10 spots in the top of the fifth. And then 9 more in the top of the seventh, and just add 5 more insurance runs in the top of the ninth. It was wow. And then you kind of look at the lineup, and remember, they've been like reassigning players and going to the minor leagues and such. So it's not like they played all of their players. Lineup is a little bit, bench is a little bit shorter and such. So you had Lockridge, though, yesterday. He went 3 for 5, including 4 RBIs. And we've talked a little bit about him, another home run for him too, but we've talked about him, off and on. And is he going to make a push for an opening day roster spot? And Pat Murphy, after the game, acknowledged that yeah, he was going to, or he's in the running to make the opening day roster. And when you look at how the roster is kind of constructed right now, you're kind of wondering, where does he fit? Because you look at some of the outfielders, it's Cheerio. He's your starter. Frelick, he's a starter. Garrett Mitchell's in there. Christian Yelich is mostly DH, but he's going to get you some outfield spots if in a pinch if you need it. And then you kind of look the rest of the roster. Bowers is probably going to be your primary backup at first base, and he can play a little corner outfield too. Otherwise, it's Andrew Vaughn, it's Bryce Terang, it's Joey Ortiz, it's Luis Renfroe. I'm blurring my words here this morning. Luis, we'll just call him at third, and then Hamilton, who's kind of your utility guy in the infield. Contreras, starting catcher, obviously. And then you're just kind of looking at, and then Sanchez is your backup guy. But then it's like, how many guys are you going to carry, position player guys you're going to carry? Because then you've got your bench with your pit, or you got your bullpen, you got your starters, you got your pitchers. I mean, could they carry both Blake Perkins and Lockridge? Is that what's going to come down to for the Brewers? And these guys only have one option remaining. So, I mean, this is a tough call for the Brewers. Do you go with kind of the hot hand right now with Lockridge, with the way he's playing? So far this spring, 31 at-bats, 4 home runs, 7 RBIs, 1.204 OPS, 323 average. Or is this kind of another example of, and I'm not trying to knock him or anything like that, but a Vinny Capra from last year, dude who plays really well in spring training, just crushing the ball in spring training, and then regular season kind of cools off. Hey, that's the risk, I guess, you got to take. Yeah, they probably know what they have with Blake Perkins a little bit more than what they have with Lockridge after, they just acquired him halfway through the point last year. They probably have a really good feel of what Blake Perkins gives you, mostly on the defensive side, but he's had some big hits overall. But could they carry 2 outfielders on the bench? And does that mean maybe carrying 1 pitcher short? Does that allow them maybe to carry another position player when you look at the type of pitchers that they have, pitchers that could give you some length? Something that we have talked about extensively with this Brewers squad. I think right now when you look at opening day rosters and the roster predictions and projections and such, it's probably, my guess, just in my opinion, I think the last decision, or the only maybe decision that's up in the air, is between Perkins and Lockridge. After that, it just feels like everything else is kind of set, except for maybe a couple, bullpen pitchers or long relief guys and such. But from a position player standpoint, I don't know where else there is any moves to be made, especially, Jet Williams already being assigned to minor league camp. So, but we're going to find out here soon. Going to find out here really soon. Joey Ortiz, though. Let's chat a little bit about Joey Ortiz, because this is a dude who has, obviously he is a guy that's really under the microscope this year. Offensively, right? We are looking for a bounce back year for Joey Ortiz. And if we're looking at spring training numbers, and he spent some time with obviously Team Mexico and such, but when you look at the numbers that he has done offensively here for the Brewers so far, granted, it's a very small sample size, but in 23 at-bats, he's hitting .435 with a 1.128 OPS so far this spring training season. Yesterday, collected a couple hits for the Brewers. Again, we don't know if this is the version that we're going to get from Joey Ortiz this season. You're not going to get a ton of power, and you're not going to get a 400-plus hitter from Joey Ortiz. We know that. That's not going to be the case. But, man, if we can get 260, what's the bare minimum for you as a Brewers fan? What would be like the bare minimum BA batting average that you would like to see from Joey Ortiz this year where you're like, okay, that's acceptable, or okay, I'll take that any day of the week? Is it like 260? Is it like 265? Somewhere around there. And let's be a little realistic with this thing because it's probably not 290. Okay? Let's just kind of keep it in check and be a little bit realistic with this thing. So, and another guy that we haven't really talked a whole lot about in spring training, and he's been having a really good spring training, and he's actually 8th on my list of the most pivotal, crucial players for this season, for the overall success for the Brewers this season. And I'm going to go with Andrew Vaughn. Coming in at number 8 yesterday, it was Sal Frelick and Brandon Woodruff. Today, it's Andrew Vaughn. Because, again, we know it's the same story. Brewers didn't really do a whole lot in the offseason in terms of acquiring power. So they're counting on guys that they already have to kind of, maybe improve or contribute in that category. A lot of talk has been about Garrett Mitchell and such. But what about Andrew Vaughn? Andrew Vaughn, when he was acquired halfway through the halfway point last year, he provided some nice pop, some nice power for the Brewers. Can he be that guy? Can he be that guy where they put maybe in the 5th spot and provide a little power? I mean, go back to that Cubs playoff series, the 3-run shot, big-time home run in a big-time moment to tie that game up. I mean, he had some big hits, King Vaughn. When you look at what he did just for the Brewers last year, let me bring up his numbers for just the Brew Crew last year. Where did it go here? Here we go. So for Brewers numbers, 360. No, that's spring training numbers. It's not loading up here. But while I wait for that, you look at the numbers that he put together for the Brewers last year. It's probably not realistic numbers in terms of batting average and all that sort of stuff. But is it realistic to say, all right, we want like 25 home runs from Andrew Vaughn this year? His projection, at least on Baseball Reference, is only at 16. His BA projection is 253. But last year for the Brewers, I mean, he hit 308, slugging 493, and had an OPS of an 869. He's probably not going to hit 308 this year, although it'd be really awesome. Be really awesome. But you look at some of the numbers that he has done so far in spring training. In 33 at-bats, 364, a 1.083 OPS, a couple of dingers. If he can provide that middle of the order, because if I'm putting together the batting lineup, I've got Sal Frelick hitting in that 1 spot. I want Frelick as my leadoff. I want him as my table setter. I'm probably putting like Jackson Chourio at 2. Then it gets a little interesting. Do you go Terang, Yelich, Contreras, those 3 for the next, 3 spots, and then is Vaughn maybe your 6th hitter? And is Vaughn a 5th hitter? Regardless, he's going to be in the middle, 5th and 6th. Can he be that run-producing type of hitter? We know he doesn't got any speed. You can't put him 1, 2, anything like that. You can't. So he's going to be locked into that 5th or 6th spot, maybe a little cleanup at times. But can he be that run-producing hitter to get those table setters, to get those guys, those 1 through 4, 1 through 5 hitters across home plate for a team that is desperate for some power help? If Andrew Vaughn can fill that role, help fill that spot in the middle of this lineup, it's a big boost overall for a team that did not do anything, did next to nothing in terms of acquiring some pop in their lineup this offseason. It's been something that has grinded the gears of a lot of Brewers fans over the last few years. Now, maybe we're putting too high of an expectation on the guy, because you look at the numbers that he did for the Brewers last year, and they're great, but should we expect that? How much do we just ignore? Do we completely ignore what he did with the White Sox? And you look at, his overall career with the White Sox, home run numbers wise. I mean, in 2021, he had 50. 2022, 17. 2023, he had 21 home runs. 2024, he had 19. But you look at some of the other numbers, and then you look at how he began the 2025 season with the White Sox. So it's not like he's been awful. He has put up some decent numbers offensively. And then the other part is how much you factor in. It's the White Sox, a horrible team. I think it's a little bit, I don't want to set the bar too high for a guy like Andrew Vaughn, but at the same time, I think it's reasonable to have an expectation. Okay, let's shoot for maybe a 270, 275 hitter and 20 to 25 home runs. If we get that from Andrew Vaughn this year, I'd be happy. I'd be good with that, especially if he's going to be your 5-6 hitter in the middle of that lineup. Maybe gets you 80, 90 RBIs, somewhere around there. Just being a threat at the plate because, again, he's got next to nothing speed. So offensively, you need him to kind of be your power guy or to be a clutch hitter up at that plate and a run-producing type of hitter. It's not like you can just get him on base and start stealing bases, turning singles into doubles, that sort of thing. So, but Andrew Vaughn's next because I think on my list because, again, if he can be that run producer in the middle of that lineup, in the middle of that order, then I think it helps solve a lot of the questions on the offensive side of this team. Where's their power coming from? All right, let's take a quick break. Plenty more baseball talk to get to, though. Hit me up with your grind my gears, your Toys at Four to grind my gears. You're also your sports confessions and your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Tax season is here, and that refund check, hey, it's more than just extra spending money. It's an opportunity. So this year, why not invest it right where you live? Upgrade your home with some beautiful new flooring from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether you have been dreaming about, say, maybe some warm, comfortable carpet, or maybe some durable luxury vinyl planks like that Rigid Max flooring, especially maybe some waterproof flooring options this time of year would be perfect for those busy families. Your tax return can go a long ways towards transforming the look and feel of your home. And at Carpet City Flooring Center, you'll find expert guidance, professional installation, and flooring options for every budget. Don't let that refund disappear on little things you won't remember next month. Put it towards something that you will see and enjoy every single day. Stop on in to Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Turn your tax return into a home upgrade that you will love for years to come. Carpet City Flooring Center, stepping into something better. Again, the Brewers have the day off today. They'll be back at it tomorrow as they continue the final stretch here of some spring training games here. They'll be taking on the Angels tomorrow. Actually, Angels and Mariners in a split squad game tomorrow. And then they've got the Rangers, Diamondbacks, and Mariners again, Padres, Cubbies, A's, and then we start to really get into closer and closer to the regular season. So, but how many more? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 more spring training games to go. And then they got like the prospects games. So they've got like on Friday, Mariners prospects versus Brewers prospects, then the Diamondbacks that night. And then on Sunday, Brewers prospects versus A's prospects, but they also go up against the Cubbies too. So, but yeah, we're getting close to opening day. It's one of those, I know it's a long baseball season, but I think it's just like, okay, get to this, the nostalgia starts to kick in, and just maybe feel just like a feel good opening day. I know it's just one of 162 games. It's just, I don't know, it's like a feel good day. Spring's coming, summer's almost here, baseball season's back. After that, and then we got like 161 more of those things to go. So, but as we approach a little bit closer and closer and closer to opening day, how do you feel about the Brewers' prospects for this upcoming season? And I don't want necessarily predictions yet. I want to save predictions until maybe Friday on that. But are you starting to feel worse, better, more confident about this Brewers squad heading into the upcoming season? Because I'm sure we're all looking at baseball predictions from the so-called experts and such, and you're just like, I don't know. Like Baseball America, they just yesterday, I believe, put up their World Series predictions and some other predictions and such. And, I mean, it's a lot. First of all, Dodgers representing the National League, which is probably no big surprise for a lot of people. But looking at some of the one thing that did surprise me a little bit, the staff for Baseball America picked the Brewers to win the NL Central. So of all their staff members there for their predictions, they had the Brewers winning the NL Central. The rest of the National League, they had the Mets winning their division, the Dodgers, of course, winning their division, but only the Dodgers coming out of the West for the playoffs, so no wild card teams. Besides, no wild card teams coming out of the West. The wild card teams coming out of the National League were the Cubs, and then 2 from the East, Phillies and Braves. On the American League side of things, Blue Jays winning the division, Yankees, Red Sox making it as wild cards, Tigers winning their division, Royals making it as wild cards, and then the AL West, just one team representing, and that is the Mariners. So I was a little surprised, Baseball America. I'm like, okay, all right, I'll get on that board. Give me the Brewers coming over there. Why not? I'll admit it. I'm kind of feeling a little bit better about this team, and maybe it's just, I'm putting my beer goggles on or my rose-colored glasses and such. But I don't know. I think, and I know it's a big if, but you can say this for every other single team at the beginning of every season, no matter what the sport is. But if everything kind of works out to plan for the Brewers, there's a ton of talent on this team. A lot of unproven talent. There's no question about it. A lot of young talent. But and we're hoping, expecting, projecting growth from some of the younger players. Can Bryce Terrain take another step? Can Jackson Cheerio take another step? Can Andrew Vaughn kind of pick up where he left off? Can Jacob Mizorowski be the next Paul Skeens? Be an ace of a staff? Can Chad Patrick take a step and be a pivotal member of this starting rotation? What are you going to get from Christian Yelich this year? Yeah, there's a lot of questions. There's no question about it. But if a lot of those pan out and the plan works that the Brewers have thrown out there for this year, this, in my opinion, it's an incredibly talented team that can win the division again and get back to the postseason again. Now, I think the NL Central is going to be tougher this year. And, obviously the Baseball America predictions have just the Brewers and the Cubs going to the postseason. But I think you're going to get a better Pirates team this year. The Reds made the postseason last year. You're looking for growth from them this year, too. I think Cardinals may be taking a step back after they kind of retool everything. But there is some love for the Pirates out there, too. And I can see it outside of Paul Skeens. I think they made some sneaky, solid moves in the offseason, which maybe for Pirates fans, they're saying it's about dang time. Take advantage. If we've got Paul Skeens here for a hot minute. I don't think the Pirates are going to be that laughing stock or kind of an automatic win. Remember the longest time that the Brewers just owned the Pirates? I think there's going to be some tougher games, and there's going to be some tougher series going up against the Pirates this year. And that's good. It's good for the division. Yeah, we want easy games for the Brewers so they can rack up a bunch of wins and maybe win another division and maybe get back to the postseason and such. But make it, for overall the division wise, yeah, it's a good thing. All right, we got to take our final break here. Coming up next hour, we'll talk some hoops. We'll talk some football. Packers fans, kind of an informal poll question I want to throw out to you. Because now that we are into the second week of the offseason of free agency and such, you're probably seeing a lot of, well, at least I am, blogs, articles, talking points, content that is now ranking teams after some of their free agent moves. And for some, they're not very high on the Packers. One of them, I was just, main reason was because they got older. Well, maybe they were too young. Last year they were too young. This year now, to some, they're too old because of a couple of additions that they made with Zaire Franklin and Hargrave. So we know this is just based off paper, but based off paper and how the team looked, the roster, what it was at the completion of last year, and you're looking at the roster right now. Do you feel like the team is better, equal, like the same, or worse? Just what do you think? And it's all based off of what we can see on paper. Because we don't know how this is going to work out until we actually get to, September, to get to the fall and when games actually start. But do you think they're better or worse or equal to last year? We'll hit that up coming up in the next hour. We got to take a quick break as we wrap up the final hour. We'll be right back after these quick words. Looking for affordable, reliable auto parts? Well, then start with the experts who know vehicles inside and out, and that's at ASAP Used Auto Parts and Conrad's Auto Salvage, where you will find recycled parts that keep your vehicle running without breaking the bank. Engines, transmissions, hard-to-find components. If you need it, chances are they've got it. Their knowledgeable team helps you find the right part fast, saving you time and money. Whether you are a do-it-yourselfer, a repair shop, or you're just trying to extend the life of your ride, trust the local pros. ASAP Used Auto Parts and Conrad's Auto Salvage. From salvage to service, one name that you can trust. So it is a happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you as well. If you are in the Section 105, a little birdie told me, too, one of our contributors in Section 105 on the YouTube chat, Digital, it's his birthday. So get on over to the YouTube chats and wish him a very happy birthday. Hey, don't forget, too, you can now sign up for the 6th annual Kasper Classic. Just head to sportstalk1051.com sportstalk1051.com or 715store.com and sign up, register your two-person team. These go fast. All right, they go fast. So make sure you get your two-person team. If you are a regular with this, same deal. All right, two-person team, 9 holes, 3 tee times, 7:30, 10, 1. You just pick whatever one you want. You could do a couple of them. A lot of people do a couple tee times as well. So, but all the details, you can check it out at sportstalk1051.com. All right. Don't forget, it is also a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. What is grinding your gears? Send those on over. Also, what's your sports confessions? It's a Tuesday confessional. So what's a confession sports-wise that you want to make? And also, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blanks. Best ones, I'll read up on the air. So I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying was related to Andrew Vaughn a little bit earlier. I'm not saying Andrew Vaughn is going to be a 30-homer, 100 RBI type of player for the Brewers, although I'd like that. But I'm just saying I think he could be a big-time answer for the question that is out there, where are the run producers for this ball club? Who are the guys in the middle of that order that can be, the guys that get those table setters home? Andrew Vaughn could answer a big question mark on this team in terms of where's the power going to come from, where's the pop going to come from. If we get 30 home runs from Andrew Vaughn, I would love it. I would be pumped. I would be excited. But I'm probably going to put it between 20 to 25. I think if this Brewers team can get multiple, they have the ability. That's the thing, too. I'm not saying that the Brewers are going to have a 40-plus home run guy on their team, but I'm just saying they could have multiple guys that could range from 20 to 30 home runs this season. I really believe that. Jackson Chirio's in there. I'd throw Bryce Terang in there. Christian Yelich is in there. I think Contreras could be in there. Andrew Vaughn can be in there. That's 5. I know they're still kind of hoping for Garrett Mitchell to be that guy to provide some power. I'm kind of putting him off to the side here right now. But, I mean, you're talking about 5, maybe a half a dozen dudes. Ideally, 25, 30 home runs apiece. And if that's the case, that's a huge bump. That's a huge bonus to this offense for the Brew Crew. It is, and I'll admit it too. I'm a little nervous heading into the season because I'm excited, but I'm nervous because you've got a young pitching staff outside of Brandon Woodruff. There are some unknowns. But you add in the offensive thing here too. It's like, because how many years have we seen this Brewers team go, it's been the offense. They haven't had, maybe some pitching, but their offense has been the thing that's led this team to the postseason and such, like 2018. And then it was the pitching staff. Was it 2021? Corbin, Brandon, Freddie Peralta, but then they couldn't get any offense. One was leading the other. This year, it's like, okay, you got a young pitching staff. Are they going to be able to lead this ball club? You got some unknowns, a lot of projection with the offense, but can they step up and help take off a little bit of that pressure from a younger pitching staff? Yeah, it's okay to feel a little nervous. It's okay to feel a little apprehensive with everything, but if the plan works, I think we know the plan for the Brewers, and if it works, it could be another fun year. At least that's what I believe. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off in less than a minute. So we'll talk a little hoops. We'll talk a little football coming up in the next hour. Packers fans, on paper, because I've been seeing a lot of rankings and blogs and content pieces coming out kind of questioning whether the Packers are actually better or not. So I'll just ask you, do you think, after some of their moves in free agency, are they better than what they were last year? We can only base it off of rosters and what's on paper right now. Plus, let's go a little bargain shopping, okay? As we enter the second week of free agency, who are maybe some bargain options out there for the Packers to kind of plug in some holes yet on their roster? All right, one in. We got 3 more to go. News updates, and we'll be right back after these quick words. All right, second hour, kick it off right now on this Tuesday morning of March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to those of you who celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for making us a part of your start if you are up and at it. Even though, we're a couple days removed, there are still some schools that are either delayed or closed for today. So there's a handful of them. Go to our website. Check out the WEAU 13 News school closings and delays brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. So I think especially over by Wausau, they're still trying to dig out of the dumping of snow that they got over there too. So, but man, oh man. But coming up this hour, we'll talk a little football here in just a little bit. We're going to talk some hoops as well. We talked lots of baseball in the first hour. We'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up a little bit later on. We got RJ Cardinal joining in the program next hour. We'll talk some Badger hoops with him, Badger hockey and such. Don't forget to get those brackets in. Going to keep pumping that because it is a quick turnaround. So even if you're not a college hoops fan, all right, get that bracket in. Have some fun. Join in on the rest of us. Join in on the fun with the rest of us, all right? Just hit us up on the websites. Hit that Fan Cave tab, scroll down, and boom, you're right there. So... all right, let's catch up on it. And also, really quick, it is a Toys and Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what the heck is grinding your gears? Send those on over too. Also, we've got I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blanks. Send them on over. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. And then, what is your sports confessions for the week? Got a few messages on the chat. Zach says, what's really grinding my gears is all the negative stuff on social media platforms around the Packers' moves. No one seems to be happy or like that we got rid of certain players. Digital kind of saying the same thing. Packers adjacent, a lot of responses to the thank you posts that the Packers do are, who are we going to have playing, or why did they let them go? And I guess that kind of feeds into an informal poll question I'm throwing out there for the rest of the Packers fans out there. When you look at the moves that Green Bay's done in the first week and change of free agency, do you think, in your opinion, and we can only base it off of the roster that we have on paper, that's all we can do it on, but do you feel like in your gut, in your bones, deep down inside, that they've gotten better, that they've improved? Do you feel like they've gotten worse? NFL.com, Eric Edholm has a power rankings based off the latest free agent moves. And, well, he's got Green Bay at 15th, moving down a couple spots, actually. And his reasoning is, quote, it has been a net migration for the Packers, who shed a lot of skin early in free agency. They watched Malik Willis, Romeo Doubs, Quay Walker, Kingsley Enagbare sign elsewhere, traded Rashawn Gary, cut Elton Jenkins without a ton coming back in return. Trading 25-year-old Colby Wooden for 29-year-old Zaire Franklin helps replace Walker, but it also makes the Packers older. Adding 33-year-old Javon Hargrave achieved the same end. They also quietly might be scouting backup quarterback options with Willis gone. He filled an important role for the Pack over the past couple seasons, and Jordan Love has only earned a certain level of trust to date. With Green Bay coming off of a gutting wild card weekend loss at Chicago, questions still over this talented but flawed team. Now, I don't disagree with everything in that write-up, but the one thing that I'm like, yeah, they may have gotten a little bit older, but at the same time, they were the last 2 years the youngest team in the league. They added Javon Hargrave to replace who? Colby Wooden? I think that's an upgrade. No offense to Colby Wooden. Colby Wooden can go on and maybe have a really good career. But right now, and this is what's grinding my gears, is this. But you're telling me that I can have the option of Colby Wooden or Javon Hargrave. Yes, Hargrave is 8 years older, but Hargrave is better. Hargrave is a better player. Hargrave is an upgrade on the defensive line, regardless if he's older. He is better. Zaire Franklin, Quay Walker. Maybe that is a little bit of wash. Quay Walker has all the talent in the world. He is incredibly talented. He's incredibly athletic. It was just the consistency thing for Quay Walker. Now I know maybe he threw a little shade at how Green Bay used him in his presser against the Raiders. At least that's what some people think he said. I can see where people thought that. You can go watch the clip and or listen to it. I can see where people, but I guess I didn't get that impression right away. I mean, he just said, their linebackers coach, the defensive coordinator is going to put him in the right position and put him in a position to succeed in that. I don't know if it was necessarily a complete slight towards Green Bay, but I understand where some people kind of came away with that. I get it. But they got a little older. We can't sit there and say, well, this team is too young, and then all of a sudden they add a 29-year-old and a 33-year-old and go out there and say, oh, now they got older. What are they doing? What? We can't have both. It can't be both. In fact, I wanted this team to get a little bit older. I wanted this team to get a little bit more, maybe mature. I wanted that to happen. And they got a couple guys to help make that happen. They're still incredibly young all across the board. Let's not forget that. Devontae Wyatt is still young. Evan Williams, Javon Bullard, those guys are entering their third year. Edrin Cooper, third year. Tucker Kraft, fourth year. Jaden Reed. The list goes on and on and on. They are young all across the board. To add a couple of guys who are at the back end or 30s, early 30s, come on. Don't use it as a negative. I think it's positive just to get a little bit more veteran experience on his team. And in fact, I want a couple more. I want a couple more guys that are veterans on this thing. I want to go a little bargain shopping here, and I want them to maybe pick up a DJ Reader still. Get me a legit 2-down, early down nose tackle that is going to help stop the run. Give me that. He's 32 years old. Bring it. I want it. You know what else I want? I want Hassan Reddick. Bring him over too. Bring him on over for a 1-year deal. What about Calais Campbell? He's 40. Oh, for goodness sake, that is going to take a major hit on our average age for this ball club. Better not do it. Do it. Now, they're not going to do all three. In fact, we'll probably be lucky if they do just one. Because then you got to factor in comp pick compensation and that sort of thing. That's probably going to be part of the plan. I don't see Green Bay doing a ton that would affect them in terms of taking away some of their comp picks and such. But if there was a chance to do a little bargain shopping here, I'm looking at those three. Why not? Give me some depth. Give me some more depth pieces on that defensive side. Hell, you want to bring in another veteran offensive lineman for some depth? I'm good with that too. Let's do a little bargain shopping at the thrift store or the secondhand store right now and get me some of these veterans on these 1-year deals to come in and bolster the depth and maybe just, provide some veteran leadership a little bit. I don't have a problem with Green Bay adding some older veterans. I don't think it should be used as a knock. Now, if you want to talk about from a talent perspective with Zaire Franklin and Quay Walker, sure, let's watch it. Let's see it play out this year. Let's see who's going to have a better season. But right now, I'm taking Javon Hargrave over Colby Wooden any day of the week. That, to me, is an upgrade. It's not a downgrade because of the 8-year age difference. Just at least in my opinion. But all right. We got to take another break here. but we'll talk some more football and such. So let's keep those comments coming. I'll try to catch up on the chat on YouTube and that, but let's take a quick break. We got hoops coming up as well. Chat a little bit about that. We'll be right back after these quick words. Accidents happen, but getting back on the road shouldn't be stressful. At Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, you will find experienced technicians, quality craftsmanship, and service that you can trust. From collision repair and dent removal to full paint work and insurance coordination, they handle the details so you do not have to. They'll restore your vehicle the right way, safely, professionally, and with attention to every detail. When your vehicle needs extra care, choose a team that puts quality first. That's Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, bringing your vehicle back to life, one repair at a time. Superior Auto Body, our backyard dreams partners. I got to go to this. I got to call a little bit of an audible here because I just saw this pop up. Potential baseball rule changes that Major League Baseball is going to implement experimental minor league rule changes for 2026. If you are a baseball purist, you're probably going to vomit after I tell you some of these things here. So if you missed it, there's a bit, and I'll tell you, I just saw it during the break here. I'm like, whoa, 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 wait, what? So this is from Fangraphs. I originally just saw it was Buster Only kind of tweet out his article. I'm like, wait a minute. So I did some searching here. No, we were just talking some football, but I got to throw this out there to get your all's reaction to this. How about some of these? Now, these are just experimental minor league rule changes for 2026. They're not official, but there's some interesting ones here. So there was a memo. All right, over the weekends, there was a league memo, according to Fangraphs, circulating amongst baseball operations departments regarding various experimental rule changes that will be tested during the upcoming minor league season. This memo, which has not been previously reported, was sent to general managers, assistant GMs, farm directors, and player development personnel with the request that it be relayed to managers and coaches throughout the organization. So Fangraph has some excerpts below. Some of the rule changes being piloted in 2026 are aimed at augmenting the game's aesthetic, others at further increasing the pace of play. Some of them seem like they're for player development purposes only and not likely to be a future big league feature. Here's the first one. Starting pitcher re-entry. I didn't misspeak. Starting pitcher re-entry. In Arizona Complex League, Florida Complex League, and Dominican Summer League games, the starting pitcher will be permitted to re-enter a game after being removed, subject to the following restrictions. Only the starting pitcher may re-enter the game after being removed is one. Two, the removed starting pitcher may only re-enter the game at the beginning of the inning following removal and may only re-enter the game once. Third, to be eligible for re-entry, the starting pitcher must throw at least 25 pitches in the inning during which he is removed. Interesting. Now, for what it's worth, Fangraph says this is the first rule change listed in the memo, but it's also the only one that seems like it's being implemented solely with player health and development in mind and isn't being piloted for eventual big league use. Rookie ball youngsters can struggle to throw strikes, which frequently has knock-on effect on the rest of the pitching staff, and those impacts tend to snowball. It's increasingly common for complex level games to get out of hand and force position players to work an inning or two, and those innings turn into unwatchable pseudo baseball with very little developmental value. Okay, so at least on this one, it sounds like, according to Fangraphs, this would not be something that would be implemented in Major League Baseball. I'm not going to go through all of them here. I'm just going to go through some of these. Looks like ABS, automated ball strike, and check swing. All right, trying to adjust it for the check swing, the 45-degree mark. Okay, wow. You know, the whole appeals to third or first, check swing sort of thing. Pitch clock changes. When the pitch clock regulations were implemented, a number of accommodations were included to help players and staff adjust to the new regulations. These accommodations have been effective. A pitch clock violation occurred just once every 5.2 games at the major league level in 2025, but they have also been utilized more frequently over time, diminishing the intended benefits of the pitch clock in terms of both game time and action. For example, the average duration of a 9-inning game increased from 2 hours and 36 minutes in 2024 to 2 hours and 38 minutes in 2025. In addition, the success rate on the stolen base attempts have declined from 80.2% in 2023 to 77.8% in 2025. In an effort to address these trends, the following changes to the minor league pace of play game procedure will be tested during the 2026 season, with the goal of determining which changes, if any, are appropriate for the major league level in the future. PitchCom Safe Harbor. In AAA, teams will be assessed a mound visit if play is stopped for the purpose of addressing an issue with pitch comp. If the team does not have a mound visit remaining, a pitch clock violation will be assessed, at which point the team will have an opportunity to address the issue while the pitch clock is turned off. Defensive signals at all levels, the clock will no longer stop and reset when the catcher leaves his position to give defensive signals. If the catcher is unable to return to the catcher's box with at least 9 seconds remaining on the clock, a pitch clock violation will be assessed. Mound visits at all levels, mound conferences must end, and all coaches and players, other than the pitcher, must be off the dirt of the mound and moving towards their positions or the dugout before the mound visit clock reaches 0. Failure to comply to these requirements will result in a pitch clock violation. Batter timeouts, AA and AAA. When a batter requests time, the home plate umpire will grant time, point at the batter, then immediately reset the pitch clock. Batters must return to the batter's box and become alert to the pitcher before the clock reaches 8 seconds. There's more to that, too. Disengagement limit. In AA, the disengagement limit will be reduced from 2 to 1. When there are runners on the base, pitchers may pick off or step off once during a plate appearance without penalty. If they disengage a second time and all runners return safely, time will be called and all runners will be advanced 1 base. Ooh. All right. Now, here's the big one. Positioning of second base. Get ready for this. To encourage more action on the bases in the International League, second base will be placed entirely within the perimeter of the infield diamond during the second half. This change will decrease the distance between first base and second base, and the distance between second base and third base by approximately 9 inches, i.e. double the change achieved by increasing the size of the bases from 15 inches to 18 inches. Major League Baseball will work with groundskeepers in the International League to move second base prior to the start of the second half of the 2026 season. As Fangraphs noted, there's a difference between encouraging more action on bases and implementing rules that highlight speed. I'm not sure which one people actually want, but I worry this hypothetical rule change might borrow from one to serve the other. The difference between fast and slow players is magnified over greater distances. To score from first on a double requires breathtaking speed. Reduce the distance between bases, and that becomes less true. If we continue contracting the distance between bases, eventually we get to a point where speed becomes moot. What do you think about that? Moving the second base to, all right. That one is, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. You know, that to me is, I don't think I like that one. I know that's a lot to break down. That's a lot to go over. Paul says, oh my God, no. Either go with ABS or not. I don't like it, but just do it already. This challenge stuff is annoying. This is grinding my gears. Don't mess with baseball. All right. Now, again, these are just experimental stuff, but the fact that they're experimenting with some of the stuff, to me, at least tells me there's a thought, or at least there is a possibility that they could implement those. What are your thoughts on it? All right. Hit me up with the text, or hit me up on that Shoe Doctors, or on that Section 105 video chat. We'll take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these few words. Looking for a great night out in Eau Claire? Well, then you need to head to the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue. Come for the food, stay for the atmosphere. From crowd favorite fish fries to burgers, sandwiches, and daily specials, there's always something hot and delicious coming out of the kitchen. And it's not just about the menu. With live music, themed parties, community events, and something new happening all the time, VFW Post 305 is where friends meet and good times happen. Great food, friendly faces, always something going on. That's the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire, your neighborhood spot for a night well spent. Don't forget, we will be over at the VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue, for Friday's show. Be over there for a little hoops skip day action, and then starting at 11, from 11 to 3. That's when the fun really begins. We'll have some free beverages, some prize giveaways and such. So if you're looking for somewhere to hang out on Friday, to watch some basketball, stop on over to the VFW Post 305, 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Yeah, a lot of you chiming in right now, not too keen on the potential baseball, let's just say experimental rules. And a lot of you kind of chiming in on that second base one. So I hear you. That one, because, okay, I get it that maybe you want to increase scoring or stolen bases and such, but, man, I don't think that's the way to do it. I don't like it. I think we're tinkering a little bit too much with this thing. I don't like it. I don't like it. Anybody that does, please, because right now I haven't gotten anybody that's chimed in and said that they like it. But if you do, please feel free to let me know. Maybe you're like, hey, I want more scoring. I don't like 1-0 games, or 2-1 games, or scoreless games heading into the ninth, or something like that. So for example, let's say that's implemented, and that's a rule change where they shift second base. You go back to that World Baseball Classic game, Team USA versus, was it Dominican Republic, right? Yeah, when Judge threw out Fernando Tatis. There's the difference. That's a great play from throwing from right field. Dude who's chugging along has got some great speed in Tatis. You have to make the perfect throw. You have to make that perfect throw to get the guy out, and it was a perfect throw. Now you're kind of taking that away a little bit, and you're taking away that play, that potential of that play. Because he's probably safe if that rule change is implemented where it's closer. He's safe. But then you're taking away plays like that, like great plays. I don't like it. Now I get it. Maybe, okay, then you're like, we can open up a can of worms here and say, well, if ball was hit 9 inches short or something like that, play was 9 inches closer, he'd still be. Now we're getting into now we're nitpicking that sort of thing. I don't like it. I don't like it. That to me is, no, thank you. Not for me. But hey, if you do, I'd love to hear why. Just give me a reason. Maybe I'm missing something here. I get it from maybe trying to put up more runs and change of pace play and all that. But, I mean, at a certain point, isn't just the game is what it is, regardless of the sport, whether it's football, whether it's basketball or baseball or golf. Isn't it just, I mean, it is what it is in terms of pace of play, in terms of how fast these games can get over with. It is what it is. I don't want to get to the point where we're trying to increase the pace of play for so many of our games where it's like, holy crap, we're under 2 hours from now. That game's got over with and done right away. I mean, I'm all about trying to maximize the most out of your day and trying to get a lot of stuff done and all that. But, I mean, I don't want it to affect the games that we love, the sports that we love. I don't want it to be like, okay, this is what's the point of this? I don't want it to ruin the integrity. I don't want it to ruin some of these games. Yeah, I get it. A lot of baseball games, those extra inning games, they can drag on. They could go a long time. 16, 17, 18 inning games, they can just drag. And I know, like, sometimes you're just like, okay, can we just get a hit so we can get this thing over with? I understand, but I feel like that's in the minority. And I feel like that's just part of the game at times. That's what you get. That's part of the integrity of the game. That's I mean, I feel like if we tried to change rules so much in terms of pace of play, in terms of, hey, let's hurry up and get these games over with and wrapped up and done and all that, we're going to tarnish some of these games. And I think we just got to get in the mindset, this is what it is. It is what it is. A game is going to take 2.5 hours. A football game is going to take 3 hours. That's what it's going to take. A basketball game, maybe 48 minutes on the clock, but you know what? It's going to take 2.5 to 3 hours. Deal with it. We've dealt with it for how many years? And I get it. We're in a busy society where we want to accomplish so much in 24 hours. But if we have a true passion for and an appreciation for our games, for our sports, we could take a couple hours and just chill out and relax. I mean, a lot of us, sports is our outlet. Sports is our way of, watching games and such. It's our way to just maybe get away from the hustle and bustle and the stress of the real world. I wouldn't have a problem 3 hours at a ballpark, kicking back, relaxing, with a brewski in my hand, and watching some baseball. That's my escape. That's a lot of our escapes. I don't want to hurry that up now. I don't want to be in the whole, all right, get in, hurry up, grab a beverage because pace of play. We're gonna have to cut off, sales in the third inning. We got to get this thing going. Then I'm gonna get stressed and rushed, and I don't want that when it comes to my games, to my sports, to the games that I grew up loving and still appreciate. I don't want that to happen. I mean, I've got stuff to do too, and there's other stuff to do, but not at the cost of the integrity of the game, not at the cost of ruining the game. I think you can do certain things to increase the pace of play, but there's also a fine line where you do too much. Don't let it ruin that game. Don't let it ruin it. That's what I'm worried about. Baseball. Don't tinker with it too much. Just don't. Don't make it too cute. Don't make this too cute. Baseball is, I think, one of the. Would you argue, if you're a sports fan, let's take the four main sports out there, the four big ones, okay? Baseball, basketball, football, and hockey. Would you argue that baseball is the one sport that you just can't get too cute with all the rule changes? Because I feel like baseball for the longest time, I mean, that was a sport. Yeah, you tinkered with some different rules here and there. Maybe you moved the pitching mound and all that. But really, when you compare, for instance, football in the NFL and how much that game has changed throughout its history, from never throwing to now it's an aerial assault. Even basketball, you got the three-point shot and all that. But baseball, I feel like for the longest time, the core of the game was the same. The essence of the game was the same. And now I feel like in the last few years, there's been a lot of people that want to kind of maybe change the essence of that game and alter it a little bit. And I feel like if there's one sport to not tinker with it too much, where you get away from the essence of it, I feel like that's baseball more than the other three. Like basketball, I don't know how much you can do to, if there was an issue of, and I really haven't heard about it too much, I don't think. I don't know in basketball what you can really do in terms of changing or getting these games over with quicker or increasing the pace of play, maybe not having, clock stoppages at all the time on out of bounds or whatever. I mean, that would be just, I don't know about that. Football, kind of the same thing. Challenges, yeah. You get rid of challenges, that would increase the pace of play and a lot of stuff, or make it more centralized and quicker in that. But I just feel like baseball, for me at least, in my opinion, is the one sport. It's like, just let's not get too cute. I think football, a lot of the cuteness that has come with this and the overreaction from a lot of this has just made the game more complicated to officiate. It's made it more complicating to follow as a fan at times. The prime example is, what the hell is a catch anymore? Do we know what a catch is? What's pass interference? What's offensive and defensive pass interference? What exactly is holding? If there's holding on every single play, then why is it called sometimes on that one and not on that one? The big one is, like, what the heck is a catch? I mean, we got to the point where we got way too cute in that thing. And now it's like, I have no idea. I thought that was a catch. My recess playing days, that'd be a catch any day of the week. But now it's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's debatable. Technology has made things, a lot of things, awesome and great, but now when it's infiltrated the sports world and all the camera angles and all that, now it's like, ooh, that third camera view, that close-up where the ball might have shifted just a little bit, that might not be a catch anymore. It's like, holy moly. And now for baseball, we're talking about moving bases closer. We're moving them closer so we can have more stolen bases, or guys going from first to home easier on a single or a double. Taking away the ability maybe for some of these guys to get outfield assists and throwing the guy out. Let's just not get so cute. For crying out loud. I just don't. All right, I'm off my soapbox for a little bit. We got to take a quick break as we start to wrap up the second hour and head into halftime. We'll be right back after these quick words. If you're looking for reliable auto service, well, you got a couple options right here in Eau Claire. With two convenient locations in Eau Claire, AJM Automotive makes it easy to get the care that your vehicle deserves, whether it's routine maintenance, some brake work, or some engine repairs, or maybe a new set of tires. Friendly experts, honest advice, quality service that gets you back on the road safely. If you want some more details, like on services, hours, maybe some specials and such, make sure you're following their Facebook page. But you could also check out their website at ajmautomotiveservices.com. We got about 9 minutes to the top of the hour. We got Paul chiming in and saying, yes, I agree. So much don't mess with baseball. I think we are trying to get fans that don't like baseball anyway. I know the NFL is boss, but either you like baseball or you don't. Isn't it interesting, though, too? I was kind of thinking about this during the break. When we're younger, when we're kids, what's like the first organized sport that we play? It's usually like t-ball or baseball, Little League. Right? I mean, that's where we're at. And maybe it's changed, but I know it's the same for my kid. It was the first organized sport that he played. I mean, you got a lot of Little League, youth leagues, and such when it comes to baseball. Basketball, you're probably playing maybe a little Y, Parks and Rec until you get a little bit older, and then you got like travel ball and such. Same with maybe flag football and that. But baseball, there's a lot of options, T-ball, different leagues and such. So this is like, for a lot of us, it's our first introduction to the sports world. For, I guess, maybe for more of a team concept, because now you got golf, you got tennis, you got a lot of these individual sports that you could go out there and do. But you look at baseball and the point that Paul is making. So here's the thing, like baseball, I think, has the advantage in terms of gaining that interest from a younger fan base early on, from younger fans. I think they've got that edge because they're the first one. How, I think the question, though, is how do you keep that interest? Kind of what Paul was saying there. How do you keep that interest alive and that passion alive and that love for the game alive with these younger fans as they get older? Is that the question at hand? Is that the question? Like Paul said, either you like baseball or you don't. If it still is the first introduction to the sports world, our first sport to play as kids on a team sport that we play as a kid, how do we keep that interest? How do we keep that love of the game alive for these kids so they want to continue to play it, or maybe they want to continue to be fans of it? Maybe for some kids, it's not enough action for them. I'm tired of standing in the outfield because the ball doesn't get hit to me. I'm tired of, only getting 2 at-bats a game. It's boring. Is that it? How do we change that? How do we address that? How, if you're in the baseball world, how do you make it more exciting? How do you make it more involved for a lot of these younger players? Is that the question at hand? Because there's no question. I mean, you look at it, football, there's a lot of, back and forth action. Basketball, you're going back and forth. Hockey, the same thing. There's constant action. Baseball, not always, not necessarily. It's interesting, though, too, because the one position that you're probably most active, besides pitcher, but the one position that you're probably constantly moving around or doing something is catcher. But I don't know about a lot of you. My kid does not want to play catcher. And just coaching Little League, a lot of kids don't want to play catcher. And I think it's just because they're too nervous, maybe a little scared, behind the dish there, putting on all that gear. But it's like, you want to be active, you want to be participating a lot, moving around a lot. The best position might be catcher. And it's ironic because my kid's favorite player for the last couple of years and still is a catcher. It's Contreras for the Brewers, but he does not want to play catcher. He gets too nervous when he does have to suit up and play catcher. So maybe that's the thing. I don't know, but it is kind of interesting. It's like baseball's our first, like I feel like baseball's got the advantage for younger kids to go out there and, we talk about first impressions. Baseball gets that chance to make that first impression for a team sport for a lot of youngsters, whether it's at that T-ball level or maybe it is coach pitch or something like that. It's just now, how do you keep that interest within those youngsters? How do you make them want to continue to keep playing? A lot of it's on youth coaches. A lot of it's on parents. And we're in a world now, too, where there's a lot of other opportunities to try different sports and try different activities. And eventually, after a bunch of, if you're a kiddo or you're a youngster and you try a bunch, you naturally gravitate towards one sport. It's just, that's the way it is, too. But I think, baseball's trying to maybe find some of the younger fans or trying to recruit some more fans. And what's one way to do it? Hey, offense, right? Everybody loves it when teams score points or score runs. Football, let's throw the ball around and score as many touchdowns as possible. Basketball, nobody wants to see low-scoring games. That's not what gets the crowd pumped up. It's a big three-point shot or a slam dunk. Hockey, we want to see goals. We want to see the lights going off. Same in baseball. Chicks dig the long ball. We want to see home runs. We want to see exciting plays at the plate and runs scored. That's the basis of it all for a lot of these rule changes, regardless of the sport. How are you drawing attention of a lot of fans right now? Or how do you get that attention from a lot of fans? Let's put up some points. Let's put up some runs. Offense is what generates interest. Offense is what sells tickets. Offense is what gets people to buy into it. That's what it is. And then once you're into it, then you kind of maybe understand the game a little bit more and you get into it a little bit more and all that. But to get that interest in from fans, offense is the name of the game. All right, let's we only got a couple minutes left to the top. So coming up next hour, we're going to talk some hoops. We'll talk with RJ Cardinal and such, and we'll talk a little hockey with him too. But we'll get back to some more baseball talk. World Baseball Classic tonight. Send me your predictions. All right, you're going to go with Team Venezuela with that loaded lineup or Team USA? Who you got in tonight's final? Hit me up with your predictions. 715-830-1912. All right, so send those on over. We'll get back to some more Brewers and baseball talk throughout we got 2 more hours, so we'll get back to it coming up probably the next hour and such. Also, don't forget it is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday, so what is grinding your gears? You can text those on over or hit us up on the YouTube chat. Also, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, fill in the blanks, best ones we'll read up on the air. And if you have any sports confessions for our Confession Tuesday, you can send those on over as well. So, all right, shot clock's about 10 seconds away. We're approaching halftime. Let's regroup. All right. Regroup. Head into halftime. Do our adjustments. Finish this thing strong, right? You know the drill. You know it. Take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these news updates. All right, third hour, kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning, March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody who celebrates this day. Appreciate you hanging out with us, no matter where you're listening to us from. Coming up in about 15 or so minutes, we'll catch up with RJ Carter. We'll talk some Badgers, some hoops, some hockey, all that good stuff with him. So that'll be coming up here momentarily. Also, don't forget to get those brackets in, all right? Quite a few of you already done so, but just head to our website, click on the Fan Cave tab, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and get your brackets in. Make your picks now. So maybe I get it. You probably go through a little bit of a process, kind of like me. Maybe made some picks, not all of them yet, but when you're ready, go out there and get those brackets turned in. We've got a couple games already starting off tonight. So if you're thinking that, I don't know, maybe Texas can win a couple games or North Carolina States can win a couple games. Well, you better get those picks in, all right? Otherwise, you got UMBC and Howard in action too. So, and then tomorrow, a couple more games, including Miami of Ohio. They're going to be in action. And then Thursday, we get into the big stuff. That's when the Badgers will also be in action too. So, but we'll talk a little bit more about that with RJ here coming up in just a little bit. We have spent a lot of time talking some baseball here this morning with the World Baseball Classic coming to an end tonight. The championship game, Team USA versus Team Venezuela. You want to make your picks? Send them on over. All right, make your predictions. Which one or which team do you think is going to come away with the championship? Opening day is next week, so we are inching closer and closer to the start of the Milwaukee Brewers season. We've been kind of doing some countdowns, at least in my list of top 10 most important Brewers people for the success of this season. Kicked it off yesterday. We've gotten through 3 players, Sal Frelick, Brandon Woodruff, and Andrew Vaughn. We'll have more coming up all the way up until opening day, where I'll reveal my number 1 most important. I don't want to say most important. They're all important. Most maybe critical, pivotal Brewers person for the overall success of this squad, this team for this season. We chatted a little football. We chatted a little bit about that too. So it's still fairly quiet right now in terms of the second week of free agency and such. Yesterday we had the trade of Justin Fields going to the Kansas City Chiefs, and I know some Packers fans were maybe kind of wanting to see that trade get done, and maybe Packers fans wanted to see Justin Fields as the new backup in Green Bay and that, but obviously that is not happening. So rumors are still out there about the potential of Anthony Richardson, but I don't know. We'll see what Green Bay decides to do with their backup quarterback. Are they going to just roll with Desmond Ridder? Are they going to try to bring in another veteran? I think I don't want it to be a rookie. I don't want it to be a rookie. I want it to be a guy who has at least been in the league a couple of years, a veteran experience. Maybe there is some interest in bringing in Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup and such. But I wouldn't mind if they, or maybe it's a thing too. You know, we're talking about this in March. Maybe they literally kind of do the same thing that they did when they brought in Malik Willis. They go through preseason, they go through training camp, and kind of target a guy that might get cut, and they just go and send a 7th-round pick for the guy. That's what they did for Malik Willis, obviously, because Sean Clifford and such wasn't getting it done. It was clearly evident they weren't getting any good production from their backup quarterbacks that preseason. So they flipped a 7th-rounder to bring in Malik Willis, who was going to be cut anyways, and all the rest is history. So maybe there's another guy like that out there. Possibly. I know one name that some fans I've gotten is Will Levis from the Titans. Now, Will Levis isn't going to be a starter or anything like that, but would Tennessee want to move on from him right away? Just look, what's his base salary for, or what's his cap hit? Yeah, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year, but he's got a cap hit of $3 million. So maybe as a possibility, but again, they wouldn't have control over him after this year, where Malik Willis was kind of that unique one where they had a couple more years left with him. They acquired him and then goes in as the backup. Otherwise, we're going to have the same probably conversation next year in terms of a backup quarterback. So, but remains to be seen at this point what Green Bay decides to do for that backup quarterback spot. I still think I'd be more comfortable if they would bring in another veteran and maybe just competes against Desmond Ridder, something like that. But we'll talk some more football maybe coming up a little bit later on. It is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday, so what's grinding your gears? Get it off your chest if you'd like and share it with the rest of the class. Also, your confessions for the day, our sports confessions for the day. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, fill in the blanks, best ones we'll read up on the air. Okay? I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. What you got? A lot of you, I'm sure, probably also looking at some of the bracket picks, looking at the experts, looking at who's picking what. So I don't know if this one was accurate. I did see, because you never know anymore in 2026. I just kind of quickly glanced at it. But somebody had posted like Dickie V's bracket, and I think he had like every 1 and 2 seed in the Elite Eight. But, yeah, looking at Jay Billis's pick. He's got Wisconsin going to the round of 32, but losing to Arkansas. He says Wisconsin has good shooting big men who can make things challenging for Arkansas. In fact, I think the Badgers present a tough challenge for Arizona if they get to the second weekend. They can rain down 15 threes in a game. That's what they did to Michigan. But the Razorbacks have Darius Acuff Jr., and nobody else does. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, Darius is averaging 23 points a game this year. He's shooting 44.5% from three this year. There's no question he is one of the best players in the entire country. And that is going to be a challenge for Wisconsin if, in fact, they do advance to play Arkansas. But here's one. He's got, so Billis, we talked about if anybody's going to pick Texas to win. Billis has Texas taking down Gonzaga. The Zags are playing without Braden Huff and his 17.8 points per game and 5.6 rebounds per game, which limits their offense and defense. Gonzaga is the better team, but consider taking a flyer here. Texas is a sneaky 11 seed because of its size. Interesting. Anybody have the courage, wherewithal, gonads to pick some of these play-in teams to advance a couple games? Maybe to the Sweet 16. Sometimes it happens. We've seen it. What's Jay Billis's Final Four here? Let me see if I can. So he's got Michigan State versus Illinois and Arizona versus Iowa State. Arizona versus Michigan State. Winner, Arizona. Two Big Ten teams battling it out. I'll tell you, my kid picked 3 Big Ten teams to go to the Final Four. He went Duke, Illinois, Michigan, Purdue. And was it Duke over Michigan or Duke over Purdue? I'll have to double check. I can't remember. But yeah, he had 3 out of the three of the 4 Final Four teams were all were Big Ten teams. So, but how many Big Ten teams you got in your Final Four? 1, 2, 3, 4? None? What do you got? Let me know. Let's catch up on a few more texts here before we got to take a quick break and get to Mr. Cardinal as we talk some more Badgers and such. We have Ben saying, when we were talking about some potential baseball rule changes, he said the second base experiment is a joke. Baseball is getting way too cute with a lot of their rule changes and it's diminishing the value of the game. For me, I understand that they're trying to get a younger fan base in it, but some of these rules are just absolutely ridiculous. Kevin kind of chiming in with the same thing, saying, I hate that baseball is always tinkering with their rules. It's making their diehard fans lose interest at the expense of hoping to gain younger fans. Another texter, don't have a name, can't give you any cred, but they said these rules are a joke. If Major League Baseball does implement these, they're turning minor leagues into a Savannah Bananas baseball. And then Bill with a quick text coming in here too, saying that he hates all the rules, or I hate all the rules that Major League Baseball has implemented over the last few years, ABS, pitch clock, and now some of these experimental rules that they're toying with. Stop ruining the game that I grew up to love. That is what's grinding my gears. Yeah, I get it. All right, let's take a quick break, and we're going to switch gears here a little bit, and we're going to talk some hoops. We'll talk some college basketball with RJ. We'll talk some college hockey, all that fun stuff too. So quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. When it comes to fresh, convenient, and delicious, Hy-Vee and Eau Claire has got you covered. From fresh produce, and premium meats to bakery favorites and ready-to-go meals, everything you need is under one roof. Planning some dinner tonight, grabbing lunch on the run, or stocking up for the week, Hy-Vee makes it simple for you. A store that feels like your neighborhood market, just a bit bigger. Plus, with daily and weekly deals and seasonal specials, there's always something new to discover. Hy-Vee and Eau Claire, where there is a helpful smile in every aisle. Continuing some hoops chats, getting set for the tournaments, Badgers in action on Thursday and such. Let's bring in our expert, Mr. RJ Cardinal, who is joining us here this morning. Good morning, RJ. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Living a dream, man. Living a dream. Getting ready for a little March Madness and such coming up here. So let me ask you this. Badgers getting the 5 seed. They take down Illinois. They made things really close with Michigan. Do you feel pretty confident? Are you feeling good about this Badger team as they head in the tournament, even though they got that infamous 5 seed in a 5-12 matchup going up against High Point?
I mean, after the way you kind of watched them play, both against Illinois and Michigan, being down almost 20 points in each game and coming back and winning one, and not really, completing the comeback in the second, but tying with seconds left. You gotta like where they're at, and kind of like we talked last week. I think the only way they could have gotten to be a 4 was probably winning the whole thing. So they plateaued where we were talking about, and the only thing that was going to help them move forward was making the championship game. So would they have gotten to be that last 4 or maybe the top 5? It just all really depended on last week. But, you can't be upset with that loss to Michigan. They played well during the Big Ten tournament, got 2 games, lost to a 1 seed. And overall, their body of work really kind of shows they have what it takes to be able to make a run here. And we'll see how it starts at, a little before 1:00 on Thursday.
Yeah, it feels like, depending on, because right now we're probably at the stage, what does this expert have to say? What's their bracket look like? And I've seen everything from like, hey, Wisconsin could be a dangerous team. I saw Jay Billis say, hey, if they get to Arizona, they could present a major challenge to Arizona, but yet they still picked Arkansas over Wisconsin. So it just kind of it feels like it's the same thing that we've talked about all year long. This is a team that maybe can hit the Sweet 16, maybe be a threat to the Elite 8, but would you be surprised if they had an early exit too?
Right, and we've been watching it the whole year.
Right.
It's one of those, watching some of these preview shows now, I don't think a lot of people have been watching Wisconsin, because all I'm hearing is they're the pick to be the 12-5 matchup because High Point loves speeding up the tempo, and they average around 90 points a game. Okay, well, they haven't played a team over in the top 100 all season, and they're the only team in the field that hasn't done so. And clearly these people aren't watching Wisconsin.
Right.
Wisconsin's running an up-tempo game themselves. And even Clark Kellogg said he liked the size of High Point, and now all I'm hearing from local sports people, they don't have the size Wisconsin has. So I'm not sure what's going on here from a national stage, but I think you still have people thinking you have pre-Final Four run Bo Ryan and Dick Bennett still coaching this team, running, 5 passes and run the shot clock down. So I'm not sure what people are thinking, but it is one of those, we've seen the Badgers play down to their competition. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But definitely I think we can at least get 1 win out of this. But if we're not making shots, and High Point is, it could be one of those that things just start piling up and we see an early exit. You go right out of the bat with High Point averaging around 90 points a game. Arkansas averages around 90 points a game. You have two teams there that, in a matchup-wise, hammer the over. I think right now I saw High Point, Wisconsin at 168.5. And, I mean, Badgers have been averaging 84 a game, so there's your over right there. Should happen in game one. But it's hard. It's hard to see this Wisconsin team losing to High Point in that first round. Not saying it's not going to happen, but I just don't think it'll happen.
Right. And then if they do win and they take on Arkansas, obviously you got the Calipari head coach, over at Arkansas. But then we know Arkansas's got one of the best guards in the country too. And again, not to keep quoting him, but that's what, Jay Bilas said, that's what Arkansas has and nobody else has that. But I mean, Wisconsin's got a pretty good backcourt duo here too, RJ. So it's like, do you think Nick Boyd and John Blackwell can do enough to maybe slow down Darius Acuff Jr., or is he, in your opinion, that good that it's going to be a really tough test for Wisconsin?
I don't know. Apparently, Blackwell and Boyd have been going against some of the best in the country because neither of them made first-team all-conference at guard, So I think they're both still being slept on, even after both scoring 30 points against Illinois. Not even in the mention of some of the top guards in the country. And, I mean, somehow Blackwell ended up third team, Boyd second team. But I think there's some disrespect or lack of watching Wisconsin this year. And part of that is because, I mean, heck, when Wisconsin was on its little run there, they weren't getting ranked for one reason or another when all their losses at one point were to undefeated teams ranked in the top 15. And, they weren't being even considered in the receiving votes. So there has been a disrespect for Wisconsin players and the team as a whole this whole season. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think on a national stage, as people get surprised by the production of having probably in the tops in the country in a backcourt with Boyd and Blackwell, rather than just one singular guard that can be your entire team.
How much of a bonus do you think it was for Wisconsin, not only to beat Purdue in this regular season finale, but then what we saw them do in this tournament without Nolan Winter, because, I mean, he's part of the big three that we've talked a lot about this year with Blackwell and Boyd. But how much of a bonus with that experience do you think could help them in the tournament?
Well, I mean, just in those games alone, we saw Belauskas and Rapp kind of step up and become players we thought they were going to be from the beginning of the year, from everything we heard. So, and those two were just pulling down rebounds and feeding the guards. So it was good to see. I think it was kind of a blessing, I guess, because those guys got minutes and I think made this team a little more well-rounded. It's looking like both Janicki and Winter were back in practice and full participants up until they got to like full physical actual play. So we'll see where we are on Thursday, but it sounds like we could get two more guys back in the rotation here, one starter and one's your kind of energy bench guy, and we'll see moving forward what happens there. But I think it was a good thing to have the minutes split between Rapp and Belauskas and getting them ready for hopefully a March run here.
Honestly, too, maybe it was maybe a good thing that they lost to Michigan because, of course, they would send Wisconsin out to the West Coast in Portland for a Thursday game, and just getting that extra day off too. So I don't know if that fact.
Well, I mean, at least it's not a late game, and you're playing a team from North Carolina and then Arkansas in your first two if it comes to fruition. So Just as much travel, if not more. Well, definitely for North Carolina more, but they got to deal with the travel too. So
Yep.
not like you're getting placed and playing BYU in the West region, and they don't have to travel at all.
Right.
So,
Good point.
yeah. So not too upset about it there. Maybe the draw is something to be like, oh, come on, just they could have been a bit higher of a 5 seed, because I mean, look at they. I think 2 or 3 of their wins are considered like the top wins of college basketball this year. At Illinois, at Michigan, and then I forget what the other one was. Oh, it was at Purdue. The top 3 best wins in college basketball this year, I think by metrics or something, are the Badgers. And I mean, you don't get there by luck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no kidding. Hey, before I switch gears here for a little bit, I want to ask you this. Greg Gard, this Badger basketball team, how important is it? Because I feel like there's probably some fans still waiting in the weeds and waiting to see how this tournament's going to go. If the Badgers don't get out of the first weekend again this year, then those fans who still question Greg Gard, then they're going to come back out. I feel like there's some of them sitting in the weeds here. How important is it for Wisconsin to get out of the first weekend for the first time since, what was it, Greg Gard's second year as head coach for this team?
Yeah, I think it's pretty important just to have those people shut up. But in terms of Greg Gard's job security, he'll be back next year. I mean, we've seen the progression of this team and where it's going over the last 3 years, and he recognized there needed to be a change. He knew he wasn't going to get NIL help from the university or the collective, and decided to help themselves out, and they have their own basically NIL through other boosters, not through the NIL collective here at the UW. So I think he's recognized it. He's made changes. Yeah, would you like tournament success? Absolutely. There aren't many teams that get that. Even some of the blue bloods, I mean, they don't make the Final Four every year. They don't make the Sweet 16 every year. Do they make it a lot? Sure. But it's one of those. Also, be careful what you wish for. We've seen it with the football program now. They wanted change, and now people want to just complain for the sake of complaining about where the football program is compared to where it was. Well, where were you when we were averaging 9 games a year and going to a bowl game every year? Well, we weren't contending for national championships. True. Nobody was donating to NIL either at that point in time. So at this point in time, if you want to complain, start putting money towards it. And then if failures happen, it turns into, yeah, it might be time to move on. But until then, until we can make Wisconsin on par with some of these other programs that are pulling in top talent every year on multiple levels of sport, kind of have to just say this is where we're at because of where we are in our donations. And Greg Gard seems to be doing a pretty good job in the transfer portal, as well as some of the freshmen he's bringing in, because a couple of guys like Daniel Freitag had a good year. He wasn't going to get minutes here at Wisconsin. He's gone and done pretty well at Buffalo. And then you had Cam Hunter, came from Central Arkansas last year. He was happy he did it. Didn't get the minutes he wanted. Went back to Central Arkansas and was the conference player of the year. So like, there's identifying talent, and I mean that's not a freshman. That's another transfer portal kind of thing there. But I mean, he's identifying the talent, and the talent's coming. But in order to have that happen, even more than that, I think we need a little more of the NIL. And it sounds weird to say that, but I mean, it's the day and age we're in. So yeah, I think job security is there, but getting out of the first weekend will calm the haters, if you will.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Switching gears here a little bit, for women's hockey, we know they are now in the Frozen Four. They get a little bit of a break here because that won't be in action until next week here. But they got it's this Friday. I'm looking at the men's schedule. My apologies, possibly for a men's team.
No worries.
But Frozen Four, Penn State's coming up this Friday. RJ, how do you like that matchup for Wisconsin to potentially get back to the NCAA championship, which would be on Sunday if they could beat Penn State on Friday?
It's one of those you can go up and down everything and look at all the metrics and all that. Outside of Ohio State, I don't know how you can look at this and say Wisconsin won't be in there. They're 32-5. Good team. Outside of the WCHA, though, I'm not sure how good some of these other women's hockey conferences are. So it tends to be one of those, if you aren't in WCHA, it becomes one of those you're automatically going to be an underdog. And I think it comes at the right, because the WCHA is just top to bottom for most of the year, had some of the top 10 teams in the country. Some have fallen a little bit throughout the season, but there was a time where Ohio State, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Duluth, and Minnesota State were all in the top 10. So there was some good competition going on there. I don't know much about the AHA that Penn State's in, but I mean, I got to pull for Wisconsin here and assume that they'll be marching on to the national championship game, probably against Ohio State again. So we'll see where that goes. But I'll pull for Wisconsin until somebody proves me wrong, to make a national championship game.
Then on the men's side, so they did lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten quarterfinal last Wednesday. So now they're the selection show is coming up this weekend. Do they got enough to get in there? Do you think, or they're going to miss out this year?
Well, they should make it in. I think they should make it in. It'll just really depend on how this weekend's conference championships go. Because as long as there are no upsets and if it goes chalk, Wisconsin's in. If Ohio State ends up beating Michigan, if there's some other ones who didn't win their conference and have a shot of getting an automatic bid that'll knock some people out and still have the number one seed from their conference going in. We want chalk, not chaos, for the Badgers to lock it in, because I think they're still in the rankings. I forget what it's not the pairwise anymore. It's called something else. They're 11th or 13th, so they're in there as of now. But if there's chaos this weekend, that could drop dramatically, and their at-large bid could be all for naught. So hoping only good things happen this weekend for the men's team.
All right, RJ, before I let you go, Wisconsin picks for this weekend. You got them going to the Sweet 16 by the time we chat with you next week?
I mean, I can't not pick them, right? I mean, my heart says yes, we'll make it to the second weekend and play in the Sweet 16.
I like it. He's RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst this morning. Appreciate the time as always, sir. Enjoy the games, and hopefully we're talking about maybe a potential matchup against Arizona next week when you're on there. But another rematch, a Wisconsin-Arizona game. So
I hope that's what we're talking about. And yeah, fingers crossed. And if we play like we did against Illinois and Michigan, hopefully we don't get down by 15 to 18 points. But
Right.
if that team shows up, it could be a buzzsaw, especially with a day's rest in between games rather than playing 3 games back to back to back. So looking forward to it, and hopefully we're talking about nothing but good things next week for both hockey teams
Yeah.
and men's basketball. Hey, women's basketball made the WBIT,
That's
whatever
right.
that is.
Yeah.
So they're playing Thursday as well. So glad to see they are recognized, at least in some fashion, to be worthy of a postseason invite of some kind. So step in the right direction for that program as well. It's good to see. Haven't been relevant for a very long time, but hopefully we can get things righted there and talk about more than just women's hockey and men's basketball and during the winters.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm excited. I know because locally wise, there's a couple of players that are going to go down there and such, but it seems like she's done a really good job in terms of recruiting and getting some of the in-state talent to go over there too. And it's a tough competition when you've got Green Bay just, continuing the powerhouse for women's basketball on that side of the state too. So.
Right. And really just even having some of the in-state talent considering Wisconsin again is good. I mean, you're seeing them put it up on graphics and things like that of top 5, 10, whatever. For the longest time, it wasn't even a consideration for one reason or another. So, like you said, good to see that your flagship program. I know Green Bay has been better than Wisconsin for a long time, but your flagship university kind of coming back and being able to hopefully continue to climb as they go along here with the new coach. So
Exactly.
love to see it. And yeah, hopefully we're talking about good things next week.
Absolutely. All right, RJ, you have a good rest of your week, buddy, and we'll chat soon, okay?
Okay, sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal joining us here this morning. All right, we got to take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. When it comes to quality meat, you don't guess. You go right to the experts at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. You're not just buying meat, but you're buying experience. Hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef, house-made brats and sausages, thick-cut chops done exactly the way you like them. This is your neighborhood butcher shop where quality comes first and service still matters. Planning a cookout or stocking up for the week, maybe looking for that perfect steak for dinner tonight? Well, stop on in to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire and taste the difference that a real butcher makes. Mike's Star Market, fresh, local, and done right. All right. I do have to take another break here before the top of the hour, as you know, just playing a little bit of a catch up here and such. But nonetheless, we'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up in the next hour with the World Baseball Classic final coming your way tonight. I want some predictions. You going to go with Team Venezuela or Team USA? What you got? All right, we'll revisit some Brewers chat as well. If the Brewers dropped 24 runs against the Dodgers yesterday in their spring training game. You want to talk about pace of play? That game nearly went 4 hours yesterday. 4 hours, 3 hours and 54 minutes to be exact. So, but yeah, we'll get to that. We'll maybe throw a little bit more football talk in here too, because Bill Huber, who covers the Packers for SI.com, six free agents that still are available who could start for the Packers. Kind of talked a little bit about some bargain shopping in the 7 o'clock hour, so maybe we'll kind of revisit this in the next hour and take a look at the 6 players that Bill Huber puts on there. And I'll just give you a little bit of a hint. There's only one offensive player. Only one offensive player on this list. But definitely a few names you have heard about or you have heard of. So kind of go over that too. Also, continue to send me your Grind My Gears Tuesday. What's grinding your gears? Brought to you by Toyson Ford. Also, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, fill in the blanks. Best ones I'll read up on the air. And then your confessions. All right, give me some sports confessions. I know you have them. All right, confess your sports sins and send those on over. So lots to get to yet in the final hour. So, again, playing a little bit of a catch-up here. So, actually, no, we got a few minutes yet before I got to take my final break for this hour. Bucks are back at it tonight, taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah. What else can we say? I mean, this is another example of a grind my gears. I mean, what else can we say about this Bucks team? They're going up against Cleveland. It's at home. But I'll tell you right now, usually we do our picks at the end. I'm picking the Cavs to win. Take away the suspense. Take away all that. They're still 5.5 games back from the Hornets for that final spot in the playoffs. Like 15 games to go here. Time is running out. They've got, they're just, yeah. At what point do you just start to follow these games, these final games for the Bucks, because it might be the last time Giannis suits up with a Milwaukee Bucks jersey? It's got to have crossed your mind. It's crossed my mind. And, again, he's one of my kid's favorite players on his favorite team. So it's like, hey, buddy, might have to kind of watch some of this and, just in case he doesn't suit up in that 34 Bucks jersey again. Just cover your bases. Hate to think that, but it's in my mind right now. That's kind of how I'm approaching these last, 15 games for the Bucks this regular season. It stinks, but I think that's becoming more of a reality right now at this point. All right. Quick break, and then we'll wrap up the third hour and then head into the fourth hour. We'll be right back after these quick words. Hunting season will be here before you know it, and that preparation starts right now at Tilden Gun. They know serious hunters don't wait until opening day to get ready. Whether you're gearing up for the upcoming spring turkey season or planning ahead for fall, now is the time to make sure your equipment is dialed in. From shotguns and rifles to optics, ammunition, and must-have accessories, Tilden Gun has a selection and expertise to help you step into the woods with confidence. Maybe it's time to upgrade your setup. Maybe it's time to sight in that new optic, or maybe it's just stocking up so you're not scrambling later. Turkey season demands precision, patience, and preparation. Stop on in to Tilden Gun and talk with the people who understand the hunt because they live it too. Tilden Gun, get ready now so you're ready when it matters the most. And don't forget those extra bonus tags or those extra tags on sale this week. New zones up each day. All right. So started off yesterday, zone 2 today. All right, make sure that there's availability in the weeks that you want to go to. So, but that'll open up at 10 a.m. For the new zone today. So, just saw Ken Ingalls posted some updated salary cap stuff for the Packers. Current salary cap $21.95 million. After the draft and after the Hobbs release, 28.53. Effective for the regular season, 13.65. To sum it all up, as he says, plenty of extension room for some players. So he notes 3 of them on there as Tucker Kraft, Christian Watson, and Devontae Wyatt. So, okay. Yeah. I'm going to put the number. I think they get 3 extensions done this year. That might be a little high, but I think they get 3 extensions done at some point this year. And I think it's those 3. Watson, Kraft, Wyatt. I think Wyatt or Watson get done first. I think Kraft will eventually get done, and maybe they're just waiting for him to return to the field and such, just to kind of cover their behinds in case there is a little bit of an injury setback and such. But yeah, that's just my prediction. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off. Let's get back to some more baseball talk coming up next hour. All right. Talk a little more Brewers as we start to wrap up spring training here, a little over a week away from opening day. We'll talk some football too, more football I should say. Go through Bill Huber's list. Is these 6 players that he listed as potential options for Green Bay get you excited, trip your trigger at all or anything like that? All right, we'll go through that coming up just past the top of the hour. Final call for any grind my gears, any I'm not saying but I'm just saying, and your confessions. All right, news updates. We'll be back after these quick words. All right, fourth hour, kick it off for right now on this St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's. Happy birthday to Digital again on our video streams. So appreciate you tuning in and making us a part of your St. Patrick's Day festivities. Be safe if you are spending the day doing you know what. So we're going to talk some more baseball coming up a little bit later on here. We'll get back to some more Brewers chat. World Baseball Classic. Continue to send me your predictions on that. So that's coming up. Also, final call for some Grind My Gears. Your Toys and Four to Grind My Gears. Your I'm Not Sayings, but I'm Just Sayings, and some of your confessions out there. So I want to kick off this hour going through Bill's piece, Bill Huber's piece, who's covered the Packers for years. And as he notes, there's 6 free agents still available who could start for the Packers. The Green Bay Packers coaches will talk until they're blue in the face about it's a competition at every position, but the reality is the starting lineup is pretty well set in stone. However, there are a few positions that could use reinforcements. Here are 6 veteran free agents at 4 positions who could find their way into the starting lineup for Week 1. Any of these names that I'm about to throw out there, any of them, would you co-sign, get excited, would like to see for Green Bay? What do you got? So the first one he says is, and this is a name that's been thrown out there by a few of you, Joey Bosa. With Micah Parsons unlikely to be ready for Week 1, projected starters are now Lucas Van Ness and Barron Sorrell. Even when Parsons is back on the field, the team will likely be cautious with his workload after he played more than 50 snaps in 9 of his 14 games last season. That makes defensive end a logical place for an addition. Bosa is a 5-time Pro Bowler who will turn 31 before training camp. Injuries limited him to 28 games from 2022 to 2024, but he played in 15 all-starts in his lone season with the Bills. While he only had 5 sacks, he led the NFL with 5 forced fumbles and his 9 tackles for losses since 2020. Of 87 edge defenders with at least 220 pass rushing opportunities, Bosa finished 20th in pass rush win rate, according to Pro Football Focus. Next up, Jadeveon Clowney. The first pick of the 2014 draft, Clowney has become something of a mercenary as he'll be playing for his 5th team in as many seasons. In 2025 with Dallas, he helped replace Micah Parsons with 8.5 sacks, 12 tackles for losses, 1 forced fumble, and 4 pass deflections in 13 games. Clowney is 33. Man, he's already 33. Was 13th in pass rush win rate and remains a stout run defender. Calais Campbell. At the end of last season, Goody signed Jordan Riley and Jonathan Ford in hopes of finding a big guy to add some toughness to the Green Bay's defensive line. Riley ended up tearing his Achilles. Ford performed well enough in his 2 games to merit a 1-year deal. The need remains, especially after the Packers traded Colby Wooden. Campbell is one of the best free agents on the market, even though he will turn 40 on September 1st. 8-time Pro Bowler, had 6.5 sacks and 9 tackles for losses in 2025. DJ Reader. Reader started all 17 games in 2025 and 32 of a possible 34 in his 2 seasons in Detroit. No sacks or tackles for losses last season, though the run defense was 0.13 yards per snap better when he was on the field. The 330-pounder will turn 32 before training camp. Age is a potential concern. His average tackle in 2024 was 1.6 yards down the field. In 2025, it was 2.7. But in a limited role, perhaps he could be an impact player. The lone offensive player, a tight end, Will Dissly from the Chargers. If the Packers were to sign a blocking tight end, he says, it wouldn't be as a full-time starter, but as a role player. Last season, following Tucker's torn ACL, Musgrave was the starter, but Fitzpatrick started 4 games because of his blocking. With Fitzpatrick coming off of a torn Achilles and unsigned, the Packers don't have a blocking tight end on the roster. It would be a useful role to take some of the stress off Kraft. Dissly caught 50 passes for 481 yards and 2 touchdowns for the Chargers, but only 11 passes for 97 yards. That was in 2024. 11 passes for 97 yards in 9 games in 2025. And then Marshawn Lattimore is the final one. Injuries have been a huge issue for both, and will factor, or have been a huge issue for him, and will factor in their next contract. Lattimore, who will turn 30 in May, played in 7 games in 2022, 10 games in 2023, 9 games in 2024, and 9 games in 2025. He was pretty solid when he did play, though, with Sports Info Solutions charging him with a 45.8% catch rate in 2024 and 54.5% in 2025, with only 2 touchdowns allowed and 1 interception in those seasons. So, any of those? I'm still on the DJ Reader one as a rotational early down player. Calais Campbell, I'm still in on. I'd like that one too. I want some more. I wouldn't be opposed if the Bosa one. To me, it depends so much on money with this one. Like, these guys are just going to be 1-year deals. I feel like all these guys are just going to be 1-year deals. But how much? How much of that 1-year deal is going to be guaranteed? That's the big thing here. And Green Bay's got the space. I think what it's going to boil down to is the guaranteed money, how much it's going to cost, because they still want some money to do some extensions. But at the same time, too, does it affect the comp pick formula? Because from all indications, from all the experts out there, the 2027 draft is absolutely loaded. Loaded. So Green Bay, maybe like a lot of teams, trying to accumulate as many 2024 or 2027 picks as possible. They don't have a first-round pick, so they're trying to accumulate others in other possibilities. We know they're getting some decent comp picks in return for the free agents that they did lose. But are they willing to sign some of these free agents where it would take away some of their comp picks? Does that factor? I think it factors into it. I think there's a lot of factors in play here. It's how much money do some of these 1-year guys going to ask for or command for a 1-year deal? Will they still have enough to get some extensions done? And 3, does it affect the comp pick formula? Those are the three big ones. And then 4th, I'd probably throw injuries, because a lot of those guys that we just mentioned, injuries. Green Bay took a risk last year by bringing in Nate Hobbs, who had an injury history. Lasted 1 year. Does Green Bay take that risk again, or do they get a little gun shy? Because it wasn't that long ago when they splurged and signed Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith and Adrian Amos. Those were guys that played. They didn't have an injury history. They played. They played every game when Green Bay signed them. They didn't have that injury history. And then last year they kind of went away from that norm with the Nate Hobbs signing. Then you look at what happened with Aaron Banks, kind of up and down with some injury. Do they get a little gun shy? Maybe that takes away a guy like a Joey Bosa, a Marshawn Lattimore. So that's probably the 4th element that I would factor into that one. But for rotational players, not as full-time starters, I think you can make a case for a lot of those guys, if not all those guys. But the other part is, are those guys going to be okay with a rotational role, a part-time role, a part-time starter role? Where are they at in their points in their career? Are they still about just cashing in and playing? They want rings, a chance to go get a ring. You know, do you sign for more money to go play for the Cardinals? Or do you sign for a little bit lesser money, maybe a little bit of a lesser role, but you join a team that's got a chance to go to the postseason and make a run in the postseason? That's where a lot of these veterans have to decide at this point in their careers too. Obviously, they would love the best of the both worlds, a team that's going to pay them a lot of money, a team that's going to play them a lot, and potentially win a championship. That's not always the case, though. All right, let's take a quick break. Plenty more to get to. Let's talk some baseball. Brewers World Baseball Classic. We'll hit that up. Coming up after these quick words. If you are in the market for a new or high-quality used vehicle, look no further than our good friends at Toyson Ford. They are proud to serve the drivers of the Chippewa Valley with some of the most popular vehicles around Wisconsin and the country. They're committed to giving our drivers in the region the best in customer service with a top-notch selection of brand-new vehicles to choose from, as well as an extensive inventory of pre-owned crossover SUV and trucks. The moment you step into their showroom, you're more than just a customer. You are an honored guest, and their only aim is to serve your needs to the fullest. So, again, if you're maybe using a little bit of that tax return to go get a new vehicle or a high-quality used vehicle, check them out today at 1000 Chippewa Crossing Boulevard in Chippewa Falls, or you can check them out online at toysonford.net. World Baseball Classic wraps up tonight. It's Team Venezuela versus Team USA. We're going to have a new defending champ. We're going to have a new champion. Japan won it a few years ago. Venezuela knocked them out. So it will either be Team USA or Team Venezuela. This should be a really fantastic one. And if you're just, Brewers-wise, hey, you got some Brewers connections to this thing too with Jackson Cheerio, Zerpa, and Contreras, and then on Team USA, it's Bryce Terang. So, I mean, there's been you look at a lot of these teams in the World Baseball Classic, there's been some Brewers connections all across the board. I mean, even with Team Italy with Fisher, who's, I think, really made a name for himself. And if you're a Brewers fan and you've been watching, the World Baseball Classic, how do you not get excited about Fisher potentially being the future third base? Yes, you got Brock Wilken, who's a power guy too, so I'm all about the now and focusing on the team now, but man, what this spring training, I think, has shown, along with the World Baseball Classic, I think it has shown that this Brewers team has some really good young, talented prospects. I mean, the sky is the limit for a lot of these guys. I don't think every single one of these guys is going to be playing for the Brewers. Long term, some may have to be traded because there's a logjam of options, and maybe you trade them for replenishing your farm system or getting more of an immediate need. But, I mean, you look at a Brock, you look at a Fisher over at third base, you look at the shortstops with Jet Williams, Jesus Mate, Cooper Pratt. I mean, there's not even talking about some of the younger pitchers that we are probably going to see this year. But that's one thing, too, that this World Baseball Classic in spring training, I think, has shown for me personally, for the Brewers, is, man, they got a lot of young, talented studs just kind of waiting in the wings here. And I'm excited to see it all play out. I mean, even like Tyler Black, Joey Ortiz, probably more of a better spring training than World Baseball Classic, but he was making plays and such too. But yeah, tip of the cap for a lot of these guys. But tonight's game between Team USA and Venezuela is going to be at 7:00 tonight. So we'll see who's going to take home the championship. USA getting the day off, Venezuela quick turnaround after their win against Team Italy last night. So, but it should be a fantastic one. I think that atmosphere in Miami, it has been off the hook, as the kids would like to say. It has been lightning. It has been awesome, and I think it's going to be it's going to up it a notch tonight. There's some bragging rights. I think you're going to see a ton of emotion from both squads in tonight's game. If there's a big hit, if there's a big play, you're going to see all of that. You could tell this means a lot for these players. It means a lot for certain countries too, representing their countries. Baseball's not in the Olympics. This is their opportunity to do so. I love this, and I think it's a great prelude to the regular season. Kind of mentioned it in the first hour. Spring training can be a long season. We talk about football and preseason, how they want to get rid of preseason games because they're like blah. But spring training in baseball can be long. As from a fan perspective, at least for me, this has kind of been a nice filler because it's competitive baseball. It's been some really good baseball, and we're seeing some stud players out there playing at a high level. And then we get to opening day in the regular season when games matter next week. This World Baseball Classic is I'm not saying it's the best special sporting event or unique sporting event out there, taking away regular season and such, but I'm just saying it's one of the better postseason tournament, not postseason, but tournaments in all of sports. You factor in March Madness, you factor in the NFL playoffs, you factor in all these playoffs, the Olympics, the World Baseball Classic. I'm not saying it's the best, but I'm just saying it's one of the most entertaining. It's one of the best. It's still kind of new and fresh, but I think it's just going to get better and better and better if it continues. If baseball gets back to the Olympics, maybe this doesn't continue, but this has been awesome. And you put it in this time frame. We talk about what's the best sports month, what's the best sports time frame on the calendar. A lot of people go back and forth between March. I combine March and April, so Marple or October. Those kind of seem to be the two. You throw in the World Baseball Classic during this time frame every few years, man, it's hard to compete because NFL free agency, March Madness, which we have right now, World Baseball Classic, opening day, throw in the draft, throw in the end of the regular season, NBA playoffs, NHL, the Masters. You throw all that in there. There's so much as a sports fan to enjoy with this. If you haven't watched any of these games, do yourself a favor and do it. Do it. Do it tonight. It's your last chance. They've been awesome, and I've been really enjoying watching it with my kiddo too. So he's been really getting into it. Can't watch the whole game because bedtime and such, but really, really awesome. And I think it's gonna be another fantastic game tonight. So, but Brewers wise, yesterday, nearly a 4-hour game in spring training, 24 runs against the Dodgers. Went 3 hours and 54 minutes. And this was after the Brewers were losing 7-0 heading into the top of the fifth. They put up 10 runs in the top of that inning. Then another 9 in the top of the seventh. And just for some insurance runs, 5 more in the ninth. 24 runs, 16 hits. And one guy who had himself a day too was Lockridge. And Pat Murphy acknowledged, after the game too, that Lockridge, he could make the opening day roster. Hit a grand slam yesterday. That's his 4th home run in spring. And you look at the numbers he's been posting so far in 31 ABs. 4 home runs, 323 average, 462 on base, a 1.204 OPS. Now, those aren't going to be sustainable numbers. And all odds are that's not going to be sustainable for Brandon Lockridge. It very well could be, not to be a Debbie Downer, but it could very well be like a Vinny Capra situation last year where the dude is absolutely raking in spring training. You carry him on, and regular season kind of loses that touch, loses a little bit of that magic. And when you look at this Brewers roster, it's where are the openings? Can they afford to carry Blake Perkins and Lockridge on the roster? Can they carry both those guys? Because then where are you going to be short? They're not going to have just a bench of Bowers, Sanchez, Perkins, and Lockridge. They need another middle infielder guy. That's why Hamilton's going to make the team. Bowers is going to make the team as that primary backup first baseman. He could play some corner spots. He's a left-handed bat. Sanchez, we know, is going to make the team as the backup catcher. Hamilton's going to make it as a primary, backup infielder, middle infielder. So you've got like one more spot normally for that backup center fielder, or for that backup outfielder. Do they go with Perkins, who they probably know a little bit more, a little bit more. You got a better feel of what you have with him. Lockridge came aboard last year halfway through. And I would say Perkins is the better defender. Lockridge is solid, but Perkins, I think, is the better defender. Do they go that route? Or do they go maybe with just a little bit more potential from the offensive side with Lockridge to try to tap into that magic that he may be having at the plate right now? Because I don't think you could carry both. Maybe they try to. And the thing is, we very well could just be making way too much about an opening day roster because it could change after the first game. It could change after the first week or the first couple weeks or even after the first series. We know that's going to be the case with the Brewers. And it's like that for baseball all across the landscape. Call-ups, call-downs. Guys are going to be shuffled around right after the first game. So maybe we're making a little bit of a big deal. But the other factor in this, too, is Perkins and Lockridge, I believe, only have one more option left. So you do have to factor that into it, too. But when we look at this Brewers roster, and I think a lot of jobs are kind of secured from a position player standpoint, that might be the last one. Lockridge or Perkins? Which route do they go? And then you kind of look at the pitching. Maybe there's a decision or two in terms of a bullpen arm or what. But ultimately, I think there's a lot of the decisions are already made. But Lockridge, there's no question he's making a late push. He's making a really late push here to make this ball club. And you got to tip your cap to him because he's doing exactly what he should be doing to try to make the ball club, making it a very difficult decision for Pat Murphy, Matt Arnold, and this Brewers team. All right, we'll take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up after these quick words. Bucks are back in action tonight. They'll be taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers at 7 p.m. Coverage will begin at about 6:30 on Sports Talk 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Bucks, they're in some major trouble. They've got to go on an insane run right now, and they still need some help. They need whoever's beaten like the Charlotte Hornets here to just dominate the Hornets. It's not only just the Bucks have to take care of their business, which they do. They 100% have to take care of their business, but for crying out loud, they're going to need some help now too. So, but yesterday the NBA, there was a report that we may potentially see 2 more teams getting expanded, which probably no big surprise. We've been hearing about this for a while now, but it sounds like we're going to get a team in Seattle and Las Vegas. The league is, according to ESPN, the league is now barreling towards the addition of 2 teams, as ESPN reported Monday that next week's Board of Governors meeting will include a vote to explore adding Seattle and Las Vegas franchises beginning with the 2028-29 season. So maybe a return of the Seattle Supersonics. Las Vegas, I mean, everybody's gone there. The NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball with the A's. The NBA is kind of the last one. So it would make sense. So, but yeah, good old Seattle Supersonics days, man. That's one of those things too. Like we've seen it off and on. We've seen it in the NFL, like with the Colts and Baltimore Colts and Ravens and that. But let's say this, it's the Seattle Supersonics. Would they retain like that history, because it's like the Thunder now, right? It's technically the Thunder. So I always like wondered, where does that history go? And actually that's on ESPN right now. That was one of the questions. They said, would Seattle be the Supersonics? Would it retain that franchise's pre-2008 history? Short answer, it says yes. The deal between Thunder ownership and the city of Seattle resolving a lawsuit over the team's arena lease and allowing it to move to Oklahoma City stipulated that the name Supersonics and all associated logos, colors, and trademark would be transferred to the owner of a new NBA team approved to play at a renovated Kia Arena at no cost. So, little fun nugget there. Thunder, however, do not hang any banners for the Supersonics in Oklahoma City, and in their media guide, they don't highlight any Seattle stats, listing, for example, Russell Westbrook as the team's all-time assist leader rather than Gary Payton. Sources said if a team was to return to Seattle, the Thunder would cede the Seattle history back to the Supersonics, just as the NBA's Charlotte Hornets reclaimed the Charlotte-era history of the New Orleans Pelicans when Charlotte regained the Hornets name in 2014. Good. As they should. Because there is this, like even with the NFL, I know I use the Baltimore one, but you got like the Tennessee Titans. See their new uniforms, kind of an old school color theme back to the Houston Oilers. And there's always been like, well, the Houston Texans, there's the Houston Oilers. I know there's been some back and forth when the Tennessee Titans were the Oilers throwbacks. It's like, but that's Houston, and the Texans, they're in Houston and such. So there's some bickering, and I get it. And you can make the case for both sides, but I get it. It does look weird when the Tennessee Titans are wearing Houston Oilers stuff, even though they technically were the Houston Oilers. They moved there, but then there's a team in Houston. I'm not going to dive into that, but you get the gist. So, but yeah, there we go. There's bringing back the 90s and the good old day of the Seattle Supersonics. As long as they bring back Bigfoot as the mascot, can't remember his name, but was it Sasquatch or something, or something like that? Squatchy. Got to bring him back. Got to bring back Gary Payton and Sean Kemp and Detlef Shrimp and all those Nate McMillan, Hersey Hawkins, George Karl. Bring all those guys back in the fray to open the new era of Seattle Supersonics basketball. So, but maybe in a couple years, Giannis will be in that expansion draft. I'm kidding, kind of. You imagine? Wow. But there has been a lot of speculation over the last few years, too, with the Vegas franchise that LeBron would be an owner of that franchise or would want to be involved in that. Maybe as a part owner, I don't know if he could afford to be the full-time owner there, but as a part owner, as a major owner with that. And I wonder if that'd still be the case considering this timeline. If that gets approved, does that kind of give us the timeline of maybe when LeBron would call it a career and then kind of transition into that phase of his career, a la Tom Brady? I mean, you could have Brady and LeBron part owners of two franchises in Las Vegas, and it would just make it a bigger deal. I mean, right now, when you think about Raiders ownership, not asking diehard Raiders fans, because I think I know their answer, but for non-diehard Raiders fans, when you ask the question, who's the owner for the Raiders, I think you're going to have a lot of younger, just casual football fans might say Tom Brady. They just assume that Tom Brady is the owner. And he's part owner, but he's not the main owner. It's still Mark Davis. And it would be the same thing for if LeBron, let's say, got involved with this Vegas team. He may not be the full-on owner, but let's say he's kind of got like a shared interest, same level as Brady does with the Raiders. People are going to say, oh, LeBron James owns that team. I think eventually, yeah, LeBron's going to be involved in that. I don't know to how much of an extent and such, but I feel like even when he retires from the NBA, he ain't going to go away. He's not going to go off. He's not going to be, calling it a career and then you never hear from him again. He's probably going to be doing some production stuff, Hollywood, and Vegas, owning a team in that. Yeah, he's going to be involved in that. And I think there's a little bit of a competitiveness too because, Jordan tried it. Jordan was involved, ownership and such, and it didn't work. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of that competitiveness from LeBron, the whole GOAT category debate between him and Jordan on who's the best of all time. If LeBron goes into ownership and he's able to win a championship as an owner, that's one notch on his belt over MJ, over Michael Jordan. I would be surprised if that's part of the thinking here. They're athletes. For his whole life, he's been a competitor and an athlete. That's all he probably knows is competition and competing at the highest level and winning and trying to win all the time. So that would be another element to that. So, all right. We got picks coming up. Last call for any picks. World Baseball Classic. You want to send over who you think, Team USA, Team Venezuela. Send those on over. All right. Also, final call for any grind my gears. Text them on over. Toyson Ford, grind my gears. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. And any last-second confessions. All right, you can send those on over if you'd like as well. So, all right, our final break, and then we're going to wrap up this Tuesday program. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. All right, so wrapping it up here, we've got some picks before we close out this Tuesday program. Let's start off in the NHL world. Islanders taking on Toronto. Give me New York. Boston at Montreal. I'm going to go with Montreal. Carolina taking on Columbus. I'm going to go Carolina. The Wild taking on the Blackhawks. I feel like that's the two most popular teams here in our area. I'm going to go Minnesota. Nashville taking on Winnipeg. Give me the Jets. San Jose taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Give me Edmonton. Florida taking on Vancouver. I'm rolling with Florida. Buffalo and Vegas. Give me the Golden Knights. Tampa at Seattle. Come on, got to go with my Kraken. What else would you expect? Let's do some NBA games before we pick a couple college basketball games and then get to the World Baseball Classic. We've got Miami and Charlotte. Charlotte's favored by 3.5. Bucks, you need to win, and you need Miami to beat Charlotte. I'm going to go Miami wins, even though Charlotte is favored by 3.5. Oklahoma at Orlando. Give me the Thunder. Detroit at Washington. It's Detroit. Indy at New York. Give me the Knicks. Phoenix, Minnesota. Give me the Timberwolves. Philadelphia taking on Denver. It's the Nuggets. San Antonio hitting 50 wins. They're taking on Sacramento. Give me San Antonio. Cleveland at Milwaukee. Yeah, Cleveland. It's Cleveland. Men's college basketball, we've got a couple games. The first two games of the play-in for that tournament. Otherwise, we've got the NIT and such going on as well. UMBC taking on Howard. I'm going to go UMBC. Texas, NC State, give me Texas. I'm going to go with Texas in that one. So I'm just going to do those two. NIT got St. Thomas taking on Seattle. Let's go St. Thomas. Go with the Tommies. Even though Seattle's favored by 2.5 in that one. I'll roll with St. Thomas. Why not? World Baseball Classic. Venezuela, Team USA. I got a feeling this might be an offensive game. I don't know. I don't know about the pitching. Sounds like United States. He's going to be going up, and they're going to be throwing Nolan McLean out there starting for Team USA. Youngster. He's only got like 8 games under his belt. Was the starter when they lost to Italy. So I'm a little bit nervous on that. Dude's talented. He's got some sick stuff. He's going to be a really, really, really good pitcher. But I'm a little bit nervous going up against, in this moment, against Venezuela. Then you look at Venezuela and some of their pitch. Man, there's going to be I think this potentially could be like an offensive type of game, and I think that bodes well for Team Venezuela. My head says Venezuela. My heart says Team USA. I'm going to go Venezuela to win, even though I think USA has the advantage of having the off day yesterday, and Venezuela is going to do a back-to-back. But I'm going to go Team Venezuela. I think the momentum, I think the energy that they have, they're committed to saying they want this. They really, really want this championship. Not to say that Team USA doesn't, but man, if you've been watching any of these games, you could just tell like they really, really, really want this championship. They want it. And I think it'll be like, I'm going to go 6-4 Team Venezuela. Pulls off the win tonight. So that's my pick. All right, coming your way tomorrow. It is Wednesday, so we'll do a little Inside the Hobby. Tyler from Slab Factory is going to be joining us for our Inside the Hobby segment. Also, with it being Wednesday, you've got, what else do we got here? We've got our Hy-Vee Game Changers coming up on tomorrow. So think about it from the last week or so. What are your game changers? Who are your game changers? Also, it is a Mike's Star Market. Am I wrong? Think about a sports opinion, a sports take, a sports thought that you have had where you would say, am I wrong? Am I wrong for thinking this? Am I wrong for saying that? All right, that's your homework assignment for tonight. Maybe we'll be talking about a Bucks victory over the Cavs. I'm not holding my breath on it, but maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to do that. We'll talk some more. We'll talk about the World Baseball Classic as that wraps up and such. I'll probably throw a little football talk in there too, and still talk some more college hoops as we get set for Thursday. I know we got these playing games tonight and tomorrow, but Thursday is when the rubber meets the road, and then we get really into the tournament and such. So, which is a reminder, don't forget, I'm going to keep hammering this home because I want as many as possible. I don't care if you're not a big college basketball fan. I want you to fill out the bracket so you can have a little bragging rights. I know we used to do the bottle cap challenge. I don't know if we want to do that again. Nobody's asked, so I don't know if we want to do that again. If you're not familiar with the bottle cap challenge, remember back in the day whenever you get like a bottle of Mountain Dew and you got a team, we could do that. Just ideally if we get 64, we'll do 64 teams or 64 people because it's kind of late now. We'll do like 64. In the past, we've always doubled up. Each person gets 2 teams, a top-tier team and a lower-tier team based off the rankings. So if we want, maybe we'll have a little fun. Maybe we can get that going. But if you're listening and you're like, yeah, let's do bottle cap challenge, let me know. All right. Then we'll probably do – well, we'd have to do that tomorrow too. So, but, yeah, we'll talk plenty of college hoops. But get that bracket turned in by going to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Fan Cave tab, scroll down. I'm going to turn my bracket in shortly after I shut the mics off. I think I've got my Final Four set. So I'm just going to roll with it. Not going to overthink it anymore. Just going to run it in and wipe my hands clean. Say, that's it. Not changing it, not altering it, not doing anything else with it. So, so that's on the docket as well tomorrow. Reminder, don't forget, Bucks are back on the docket tonight on the radio, right here on Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. Coverage will begin at about 6:30. At about 6:30, got to listen to the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. No Brewers game is what I'm trying to get to. No Brewers game for the radio today. They'll be back on the radio coming your way tomorrow. When they take on the Angels, coverage will begin at 3 o'clock. Hopefully it's not another 4-hour game for a spring training game. But they'll be back on your radio dials coming your way tomorrow. And then just looking at the studio schedule here, we just got, counting tomorrow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more spring training games. That's it. And then we're on to the regular season. Tomorrow, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. Be here before you know it. I'm ready. All right, shot clock is going to cut me off here in just a few seconds. So if you're out celebrating for St. Patrick's Day, be safe. Enjoy it. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. All right. Have a green beer for me, okay? Responsibly. Have a green one for me. All right. And then be ready to go tomorrow. Get the homework turned in for tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. Same place, same time, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Chat with you then.